Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me remind you that we are covered by the BIP-COT no government license, which allows for the reuse, redistribution, and modification of this podcast by anyone and everyone except by governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is bipcot.org. This is episode 42.
God damn.
Which I think I titled "But Who Will Pull the Weeds." We'll get it's an article we're gonna get to later, guys. But we got the OG crew in the house and our favorite Fed. How you doing down there, Fed? Hiding in the corner, lurking like the NSA man.
Everybody on Facebook calls him K-Fed now.
I'm actually
K-Fed.
I'm sitting on the floor because we don't have another chair.
Yeah, not one that'll fit.
Okay, I was going to say that there's literally one right behind you.
Yeah, it's too tall. And then, we haven't organized the office yet, so there's bins of electronics and paperwork and shit, stacked all over here, and we just don't have anything that'll fit in that spot that he can sit on that won't be too tall. So.
Sure.
Anyways. And he just, likes to be close to me.
So, can we talk about John McCain for a second?
No! God, that's all anybody fucking talks about this week.
Why would you want to talk about that, asshole?
Can we talk about Bill Clinton and the girl?
No.
Adriana, whatever her name was.
Ariana Grande? Is that?
Ariana Grande, yeah, the girl that was singing, and Bill Clinton watching her with his bedroom eyes.
You guys are being racist. I think it's Grande.
That bishop
I thought that was a Starbucks thing.
Wasn't that bishop groping her?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Lectern? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he later apologized for it.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows saying sorry makes it okay.
Right.
To
yeah.
literally sexually assault a young girl.
Right. So here's a little tip, America. Anything you don't want to have to apologize for and not really actually be forgiven for later on, don't do on fucking national television. Don't fucking keep your hands yourself on TV.
Yeah, right.
It's not that fucking hard. I mean, for real, you couldn't resist the urge to fucking get a little side boob squeeze action. I mean,
yeah.
It's live goddamn TV, you fucking moron. Anyways, that's all I have to say about that.
No tack, no couth, man.
No, seriously.
At least be a gentleman until the fucking cameras are off.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, keep that shit behind closed doors.
Yeah, and make sure you give her a lot, a healthy little chunk of hush money. And then it just goes away.
Is that my problem?
I think so.
And I need the hush money?
Yeah. You're skipping the last step, Dan.
Hey, maybe I want the advertisement.
Yeah.
Even bad advertisement is advertisement, man.
Yeah, there's no such thing as bad PR.
That's right.
So what are we going to talk about first? Other than not McCain. I don't want to fucking talk about that guy. He should have been dead decades ago.
Yeah, well, I want to thank the brain cancer for its service.
Thank you for your service. You fought for our freedom more than he ever did.
Right. Fucking ridiculous that anybody would mourn someone that fucking went and met up with ISIS and shit in fucking Syria. It's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I mean, that's just one of the things that the guy did.
And, I don't ever pretend to know all the details surrounding their movements and things and why they talk to the people they talk to. But for fuck's sake, we have his fucking voting record.
Yeah.
That's a matter of fucking public record. And that guy was a warmonger piece of fucking
shit. Totally.
There's Clinton literally eye fucking.
Yeah.
Her at the funeral or at the ceremony. Yeah. Just
such a sexual predator. Man.
Yeah, because they were all taking it so seriously. Bush is passing candy to Michelle on the low.
Oh my god! Oh my god! People lost their fucking minds because Bush dared pass candy to Michelle Obama.
They have like a thing.
Oh my, Republican and
You ever
Democrat.
seen them two together?
Oh my God, they shared some candy.
They're always like hugging and like holding hands and like fucking weird shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, dude?
You know,
That's because they're all friends.
Oh, of
they're
course
all
they
in the
are.
same
Of course they
Yes,
are.
they
No,
are.
I don't even question that. It's just it's like, what's the deal with they're like kind of like, I don't know, almost seem like a couple in a way. And I'm
Well,
like,
you've heard the rumors about Obama back in college.
Oh yeah.
So you know he's not getting it done.
What's the dude's name? I think his name was Larry Sinclair. Blew the whistle or whatever about how he was gay and he smoked crack with him and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Michelle was a tranny.
Yeah, all of this, me either, quite frankly. All of this, you know,
She's
this
built like a
fighting that
linebacker.
they do.
So is Derica.
That's terrible. All right, so were you saying all this spying? What?
You froze for a second there.
Well, no. Oh, okay. So all this like fighting and things that they do, you know, politically.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
fucking theater.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
totally.
for anybody who just isn't up to speed, who might watch this someday.
It's like it's like wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they put on a show in front of everybody, and then behind the fucking scenes, they're all like best friends.
Spirit cooking together and shit.
Yeah,
that.
dude, for real.
Yeah.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with news too.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer calling McCain one of his best friends. Come on now. If that doesn't just scream that it's one big puppet show.
Yeah.
No, hold on.
Dude, I mean,
Democrats, period, love fucking John McCain because John McCain is a giant progressive. He was basically a Democrat with a fucking Republican label.
Oh yeah,
that's
neoconservatives are really Trotskyites. They're like international like globalists, and they like want fucking revolutionary war all around the fucking world.
Yeah, and that's
a Trotskyite.
The long and the short of it is, none of these motherfuckers are who they say they are. Not one of them ever.
There's no conservatives left in government.
No.
You know what I mean? They're all big government motherfuckers.
There's a handful, but they're like way out.
Yeah, they're outnumbered heavily though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'd say that like, you know, somebody like Rand Paul or like what's his name there? From fucking Michigan.
Justin Amash.
There you go. They're like real conservatives, you know what I mean, if there are any.
Yeah, maybe.
But they're like libertarians too, so it's like a libertarian is pretty much like in terms of fiscally, they're definitely more conservative than anybody else.
Paul endorsed Gary Johnson for the Senate seat in New Mexico.
Wait, what happened?
That Rand Paul endorsed Gary Johnson for the Senate seat in New Mexico.
Really?
Well, Gary Johnson wasn't he like the Green Party candidate or something? Not Green Party.
He was libertarian.
He was the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
But he was also the bake the cake guy. Like he believed that the Christian baker should have been forced to bake the cake for the gay couple.
Yeah, fuck freedom of association.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, so not really a libertarian.
He's not libertarian.
No.
Yeah.
But maybe he endorsed him over whoever else was running because, like, you know, he figured, you know, well, he's more libertarian leaning than the rest of these people.
Yeah.
Like at least he's cool on like pot laws and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's still a politician at the end of the day, and he's willing to fucking compromise on principles.
Dude, he fucking backed Mitt Romney. He endorsed Mitt Romney. I mean, come on. Like that's when I knew he was like. I was like, he's nothing like his father, dude.
That and Rand Paul has released statements again and again and again that he is not libertarian. Like he is not a member of the Libertarian Party of Kentucky. Like he has that.
He isn't. He's a Republican
on his personal website.
Yeah,
and he's also supported some foreign intervention and a bunch of other things. Like Rand Paul's not his. You know, he's not Ron. He's not Ron at all.
Doctor No.
Yeah.
You know, and I think any political success that Rand Paul has is coasting.
That's okay. Here's the thing, though. What success?
Yeah.
What bill has?
Because I'm
well,
not sure that he's had any.
Didn't he kind of help with the push for like hemp production and farming in Kentucky?
Has it passed?
I don't know. I haven't checked into it. No.
No. Rand has no business with the politics of Kentucky. Rand is a federal.
No, but I'm
I
saying
mean,
like he
even
endorsed
getting-
the policy statewide.
I
Like,
mean,
I don't know if
even
Yeah,
just
he
with
getting
went through
elected.
with it or not.
With Massey.
Yeah, I'm just
Massey.
I'm just talking about getting elected. I mean, I think he got elected on the strength of his name.
Oh,
we
for
have
sure.
street cred now
Yeah.
because he got his ass whooped.
He's
Didn't
a gangster.
his neighbor came over and like beat his ass and like broke some of his ribs. Like
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
For cutting the grass or cutting the wrong grass or not cutting the
He was
grass. or something
probably
like
the
that.
dude was probably a Democrat too.
Thug life. Thug fucking life.
No, he was.
Yeah, well, that's
the
what
guy
I'm saying.
the guy
Like,
that
that's
assaulted him was.
that's where politics is at right now. Because I was talking to my friend and I'm like, the pendulum swings like as hard as it swings one way, it's going to swing right back the other way just as hard.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a reactionary response, and that's how it always fucking is. And I'm like, it's dangerous because I'm not saying that centrism is the best route either, but it's like the more extreme one side gets, the other side responds in the same amount of
Well, it's
extremism
not-
until
And
it
I
just kind of
love-
explodes.
It's not just sides. It's not just one side and the other, one side and the other. It's government itself. As government gets larger, the more each side, quote side, wants to
for
be in
that.
power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the pendulum analogy because if you've ever turned on a grandfather clock, you know that it starts very small, right?
Yep.
So like at the beginning of the United States of America, the political shifts were pretty minor. They shared a common
not only that, but they
core
didn't have-
ideology.
They didn't even want political parties because they knew that it would be
Yeah,
a tool
that
to
was-
divide
that
the
was
public.
something-
Right. So
That
there
was something
like,
Washington argued against in his farewell
Yeah.
speech.
right. So
Yep.
like there was this much change, right? And as the government gets bigger, it gets heavier, this division widens and people become more polarized and the things start swinging harder and harder.
Yep.
And eventually it's going to go flying off in some direction and kill somebody.
Well, they said that like the
Flowered
Antifa
pivot
fucking-
strategy.
Right.
Yeah. Well, dude, there's so many strategies going on right now in terms of like migration. You got people fucking like being divided on like political lines, ethnic lines, sex lines. Fucking every
Identity
line you
politics.
could probably imagine. Yeah,
Identity
absolutely.
That's
politics.
identity
Any
politics.
fucking way
It's
they
the
can
it's
divide
the
us.
fracturing of society, and then you pit all these groups against each other and play them off against each other, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
They know that they understand human psychology better than any of us do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's the weapon that they use against us. They use our biological drives and our psychological makeup to fucking use that against us as a tool of manipulation.
Well, yeah, you got to
You know what I
remember that Joseph Goebbels or Gables or Gabbles or Goebbels, whatever you
Goebbels.
pronounce
Well,
his last name.
Edward Bernays, the nephew
Ed Bernays.
of Freud, was before Goebbels and like Ilya
Yeah,
fucking
but the-
Ehrenberg and all them guys.
But you take the two schools of propaganda and you kind of combine them into one, and you see the post World War II or even post World War I. Let's go back that far. The post World War I propaganda and how the country has changed and how it has become divided.
Oh yeah.
The things that Dr. King said. Can't we all just get that was Rodney King, right? Can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong king. Wrong king, brother.
Wrong King, the wrong King.
Martin
Go back to Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King Jr., the Republican. Let's not forget that.
The Republican, yes,
Yeah.
the Republican Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And his
He'd probably be a
thing was
pariah today, dude.
oh, absolutely. He would be an Uncle Tom and all this other
He
stuff.
would,
It'd be like
right?
it would be Eric July like freaking 40 levels higher.
Yeah, right.
You
That's
ever
like
watch
Jesus
that guy
coming
get-
back today, and then like it's like somebody calling the fucking ADL on
he's
him or something.
Yeah.
We're talking
like
about the Pharisees and shit.
yeah. The Middle Eastern Jesus that came back, oh, he's white. No, he's Middle East.
Yeah, right. He looks a lot like Caesar Borgia.
But like the whole thing with the civil rights movement was to argue against division, right? That's what it was. It was about accepting people as one people, as Americans. not dividing people among race or whatever else. And 35, 40 years later, you have people arguing, getting in fights over culturally appropriating dreadlocks. White people with dreadlocks are stealing people's culture, and it's just like,
and they're getting punched for it.
Yeah,
it's insane.
That's the fucked up
Absolutely
thing.
insane.
Like these, like people think that they have the right to like assault somebody because
like
they
get violent
like,
about.
Yeah, it's like what? Why?
I'm not a historian, but I think white people had dreadlocks first.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah,
the ancient Nords kind of had.
They've been doing dreadlocks for centuries.
So back to what Jason was saying about the whole thing about judging people based on their character and not their identity. Is basically the premise of what Dr. King was trying to say, and that's how I fucking live my life. Like if somebody's a person of like decent character or whatever, and like, you know, we're either like-minded or like we share a common ground in a certain sense, like I'll get along with them. You know what I mean?
Right. And I can understand and accept that we have different experiences, and sometimes those experiences are influenced by the color of our skin. But I'm not judging somebody by that. I want to hear about their experiences because I think it's interesting the way that people get treated. But that doesn't mean that I have to fucking have white guilt about it. I'm an individual. You're an individual.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that shit to you.
Nope.
There is not a single white person alive in the United States that owned a slave.
Yeah, no.
Right.
That's what I always say too.
1800s.
I'm like my ancestors came over here in like fucking 20s, 1930s from like Poland and Italy and Austria and fucking Sicily, and like, you know what I mean? It was way after slavery was abolished. I mean, obviously not abolished. I mean, everybody became a tax slave after the Civil War, but
right. Well, and I have
even
from one side of my family, and that goes all the way back to the original settlements.
Well, here,
but always the North, and they fought for the North in the war. And I mean, like, I can prove to you that none of my ancestors owned slaves because, you know, on my dad's side, the dude was fresh off the boat from Spain.
Here's an extremely unpopular bit of information, but there were free blacks who owned slaves also.
Yeah.
Talked about that before. And Native Americans had kept slaves
for way longer, way past the Civil War, into the 20th century,
for up to 100 years after slavery was officially ended in the United States.
Right.
So. And let's not forget that the Great Emancipation Proclamation, January 1st, 1861, that only freed slaves in the South. The slaves in the North, which was supposedly fighting against slavery, had slaves for another 3.5 years.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my whole point is that slavery was an economic condition. It wasn't based on race.
No, it wasn't.
No,
every race was a slave. And also every race.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Had slaves.
Right.
I always say that too. I'm like, everybody's fucking race was enslaved at one point in time. That's just kind of how fucking humans fucking are.
The
like,
Irish,
you know,
when they came over here, holy shit,
dude, they were like treated like absolute shit.
The Irish, the Chinese, the Russians up there in Alaska, it was everywhere. Like we can even go a step back beyond that and talk about slavery with the Native Americans. The Native Americans had slaves. The Native Americans, the Native Americans had slaves and sold them to the white people. The tribes in Africa had slaves and sold them to the slavers.
What'll really
like
your mind is that the Dutch were not running around the Ivory Coast with butterfly nets, rounding up Africans to sell into slavery.
Well, dude, just look at Libya today. Look at Libya today.
Libya.
Yeah,
Libya right now.
Same thing, dude. Blacks selling blacks. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So the slaves that
or
came
Arab
to the US,
Arabs
they were
blacks.
already slaves in Africa.
Yeah,
that's right. Most of the slaves that were over here were already slaves in Africa. They were.
Yeah, we can even go back. I mean, ancient Greece, right? I mean,
all
of the Vikings, the Nords. The Nords, as Kevin mentioned earlier.
The Ottoman Empire was famous for like sexual slavery. That was like
the Romans.
Yeah.
The Romans fed slaves to lions for entertainment.
Yep.
The Barbary pirates.
That's just badass, though.
Had taken slaves, and they were part of the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah. So,
All right,
I mean,
but can we
it's...
talk about this aspect that nobody really ever talks about? All right. Arabs were mainly the ones that were the drivers, like other than African tribes, in terms of like the North African slave trade.
Uh-huh.
And not only that, but we all know who the financiers were.
Right.
Well, yeah, there was,
but
And
there
here's
was,
the thing. They are
there was
still fucking doing it to this day.
yeah, that's what I mean, dude. It's a fucking lucrative market.
Here's the Arabs
now they
took
do
their
fucking
cultural
organ
cues
harvesting
from
and
Rome.
everything, dude.
If you guys didn't know that.
Well,
what's that, Kev?
What did you say?
I don't know.
No, I said the Arabs took their cultural cues from Rome.
Okay.
Well, after a certain point in the Roman expansion, they did, but they had slaves before.
Like that whole thing against women. That wasn't originally when Muhammad was alive. That wasn't in place. It was only until after Muhammad died. His successors had taken cues from the Christian church and said, this is how we should be treating women. And then they started treating women like fucking shit based on how Christians were treating women.
Well, and because they were psychotic. And that's what happens when you get psychos in positions of power.
And we could even go back to the original Silk Road between Eastern Europe and the Orient.
Right.
Yep.
Tribal slavery all along that route. The East Asians all the way to the East Europe, where East Europe is now, with the Slavs. And
didn't that later become the Orient Express, like that train line, the Orient Express? Wasn't that?
No.
No, I felt like it did. Okay, I'm thinking of something else.
All right, can we circle back to John McCain?
No, do we have to?
Sure.
Well, I have something I want to read. I have something I want to read because one of my absolute favorite things to come out of John McCain dying, besides John McCain dying, are the memes.
Are great words.
Right, yes, the memes were awesome.
The memes are fucking awesome.
The
memes are fantastic. But I got okay. Like when Lockheed Martin takes out an ad and posts it on Twitter, an obituary for John McCain, thanking John McCain for his service.
For real?
Yes.
This isn't even a joke.
No, it's not a joke. It's not a joke.
He's like, thank you for being one of our best salesmen ever.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Remembering U.S. Senator John McCain. Quote, Senator McCain was an exceptionally courageous leader and a true patriot who dedicated his life and service to our nation, who joined the country in mourning his loss. Throughout his career,
his life and service to our fucking bottom line is what they mean.
Throughout his career, he rightfully held all of us in the national security industry to the toughest and most demanding standards. Wait. Yet, no matter how passionate the debate or difficult the message, we always understood it for what it was: a determination to deliver the best capability for our military and men and women in uniform, while ensuring the taxpayers' interests and were properly served. He will be greatly missed.
Good Lord.
I got one for him right here. There you go, buddy.
Hey, that's not nice.
Yeah, so I got told my post about John McCain apparently was in poor taste. That's what I got told.
Of course.
One of my old friends from the Navy messaged me, because all my post said was, my condolences to the family of John McCain for being related to John McCain.
I can't disagree with that.
And he messaged me, he's like, did you get hacked? That was in really poor taste. And so I kind of put that on Twitter, and I was like, what's in really poor taste is bombing brown kids in the name of your own stock portfolio.
Yeah, for real.
Then some asshole on Twitter jumps in and tells me I'm a fucking racist monster and a fucking race baiting piece of shit because I said brown kids.
There's some responses to Lockheed Martin's tweet.
Yeah. Okay.
Quote, I would like to express my condolences to the loved ones of John McCain's victims.
Yeah.
How surprising, war profiteers praising a warmonger. Who'd have thought?
Yeah. Shocker.
I can't read this statement. It's covered in blood.
Oh man.
Nice.
It's so beautiful. John McCain served us well by calling and voting for war at every opportunity that presented itself. He was a boon for our stock prices and corporate profits by ensuring our bombs and military equipment will be used on innocent civilians across the world. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna leave a mark.
Wild.
Yeah.
Fear not, there's always Bolton in the wings. You'll have your wars, since war is the new gold standard.
I hate that
It
motherfucker, man. I swear to
Oh,
God.
when you guys have a second, I got a fucking Obama story for you that'll make your eyeballs spin around in their sockets.
Okay, does it have anything to do with it?
No, it has to do with bombing. It has to do with bombing.
Yeah.
Okay. Please do tell.
Yeah, lay it on us.
If you look at the charts on which presidents have bombed the most using like predators and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's Obama by a long
yeah, he expanded that big time.
Yeah. But anyway, the predators, I think they used to use Hellfire missiles to kill their targets.
I remember you telling me about this.
Well, Obama, because he said that using that type of technology was causing too much collateral damage. We're killing too many innocent people using that. So he wanted to scale it back, and so he stopped the use of the Hellfire missiles from the predators, and they used like this lower yield, less accurate like missiles to try to prevent so much collateral damage. Well, the fucking collateral damage like tripled, right? Because they weren't hitting the fucking targets, and the people weren't dying. Literally,
so instead of one shot, they're shooting at this guy like 5 or 6 different fucking missiles, and they're expanding the fucking damage radius because they just can't kill.
They tried to kill this one guy. They fucking tried to kill him. They killed 18 fucking innocent civilians, and the asshole that they were trying to kill crawled out of the fucking burning wreckage and ran.
Yeah,
wow.
He got away.
Go figure, dude.
Thanks,
Go
Obama.
fucking figure. Yeah, really.
Yeah,
none of it's okay. None of it's okay, but ineptitude makes it even fucking worse. That's the
but not only that, like,
not a chirp from the anti-war Democrats.
No. They've been gone since the Bush era, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
no, that's the kind of shit that nobody ever hears about.
What's that?
Yeah.
What you were just saying?
The stuff I just told you, you're not going to read in any fucking newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But dude, like, think about the sales though. Like, in terms of like Lockheed Martin or whoever's making the fucking bombs. You know what I mean? They're making fucking way more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all know that it's the manufacturers, the arms manufacturers, and the financiers, the global banks, that make all the fucking money off of war.
Well, I mean, you think about it, dude, and like people think like, oh yeah, United States won the fucking war. Like, no, like the real winners of war are the fucking international central bankers. All right,
Yes,
I don't give a fuck because everybody ends up owing them at the end of the day.
Both sides of every fucking war.
Yeah. So they have a fucking financial incentive to start wars all around the fucking world so they can enslave populations through fucking usury debt.
Yeah, and we are nothing but revenue chattel to them. We never have been, and we never will be anything more than that.
And think about this, like every war, it's like it further enslaves generations and generations and generations. You know what I mean? It's like
between
1998 and 2018. The defense aerospace industry has spent $1,101,303,893 on lobbying.
On lobbying.
On just lobbying.
On lobbying. Yeah.
Just on lobbying. That means trying to get the government to do what they want and that benefits them.
Here we can inject some voluntarism right here.
Let's break it down. Let's break it down for like the normies here that don't think about these things on a regular basis.
Let me just say this really quick.
Fucking money trying to get laws written that are favorable for them.
Laws,
how
contracts,
much are those
laws contracts, and politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, laws, contracts, and politicians.
Exactly. How much does that activity? What's their return of investment?
Oh, you want to hear
astronomical.
You want to hear a really good number?
Otherwise, they wouldn't spend that kind of money.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. So that was the defense aerospace, right? 1.1 billion. The same time frame, 1998 to 2018, the pharmaceutical healthcare industry, 3.93 billion.
Wow. Not surprising at all.
Yeah.
And almost they have an even bigger stake because they don't even need wars. They don't even need wars to make money. They just need prohibition. Prohibition is what the pharmaceutical industry needs. And they spend that much money maintaining prohibition.
Here's one that surprised me. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The eighth highest in that 20-year span. The eighth highest spending, 1.63 billion. Education.
Jesus.
Think about it, that's education. That's schools and teachers unions.
Jeez.
Special interest groups.
Wait, so doesn't that seem a little strange? I think Dan dropped out or went on mute. But doesn't that seem strange that
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. So schools and teachers unions, these are government programs. They are government employees. What the fuck are they lobbying for?
The association. Okay, this year alone, 2018.
Well, I'm just saying they're lobbying to preserve their own fucking jobs.
Yeah, okay. 2018. The Association of American Medical Colleges, 2.5 million. University of California, 680,000. University of Pittsburgh, 430,000. University of Pennsylvania, 410,000. University of Washington, 400,000. California State University System, 392,000. Johns Hopkins University, Northwestern University, Yale, Harvard, Texas A&M, Wake Forest, Kansas State University, University of Wisconsin, Cornell. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. These are all public colleges spending money, lobbying politicians.
And
and you wonder why college is so expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Well, can I just say this really quick?
Statist lobbying really pissed me off. I'll just say that.
Well, I just wanted to interject this really quick or inject this into the conversation really quick, and because we can tap on some voluntarism right here. Now, with all that money being spent lobbying by the defense industry, right? In a voluntarily organized society, right, without government and accessing services through the free market instead of government, non-coercively, is anybody really going to fund war or send their kids off to die?
Hell no.
I mean, to quote Derek J. Freeman, he said that if Starbucks dropped bombs, he wouldn't spend his money there.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody asked in one of the groups that Anarchy Ball added me to on Instagram. I think it's like, I don't know, capitalist orgy or something like that. But we we were having a conversation, and one guy was like, well, without government regulations and whatnot, how are we going to solve the pollution problem and in terms of environmental happenings in a voluntarily organized society, right? And I was like, if you think about it, I was like, a business doesn't have any incentive to deforest or anything like that. Yeah, because I was like, all that shit's backed up by government contracts and whatever, because they're just like, well, whatever, it's fine.
And there's government safety nets and too big to fail and all this shit
exactly,
like that.
Exactly.
So there's no incentive to behave responsibly.
There's no market forces pushing back on these guys.
Right, exactly.
And even if there are,
right.
Yeah, and even if there are market forces pushing back against them, it's like they're still getting money through taxpayer fucking subsidies. So it's like they're not going to fucking fail.
Right.
So
and without IP
not only
fucking competitors can do the exact same thing, but do it clean and green. And
yeah, but they're not exactly, and they're
not only taxpayer subsidies. Sorry, not only taxpayer subsidies, but when you have a monopoly on a service or a product, people can only buy that service or product from you, and you get
not only
you
that,
you can set the price, just like with EpiPens.
Right, and that's what I kind of by IP protection.
And with government, giving like no bid contracts to these companies, right? That like they're in bed with, and there's like usually a revolving door with like government agencies that these people leave their fucking corporation and go into government service or whatever. Like Monsanto or fucking or really Goldman Sachs, like working in the Fed or any really of that shit.
The other way, people don't realize
absolutely.
That.
It goes both ways.
Happens.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
You should follow like the careers of senators and congressmen after
they go to K Street and shit after that.
Fuck yes, they do.
Yeah,
yes, they do.
So with that being said, right, and I don't know, it's just fucked up because what the fuck was I gonna say about the
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh yeah, no. In a voluntarily organized society, I'm like, there's no like incentive. There's no incentive like being government backed to innovate. You know what I mean? To create new ways to do things that are can conserve the fucking scarcity of resources. I was like, like if the government didn't outlaw hemp, that would totally be accessible, and there wouldn't be any need for deforestation. Right. I'm like, that's the fucking issue. I was like, if you're worried about
non-biodegradable plastics, wouldn't be a fucking problem.
Yeah, it was there's so many things that like would be solved by innovation through the free market because it's like they have an incentive to do better than their competitor. So it's like everything's going to get better and better and better and better. You know what I mean? Because it's like everybody's trying to outdo each other.
The largest, the
it's
two
gonna
largest
drive costs down too.
Yeah. The two largest conservation associations in the United States is not the Sierra Club. It's the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and Ducks Unlimited.
Yeah, hunting.
They have those are founded by hunters and sportsmen.
Yep.
Dude, yeah, hunters are like some of the fucking like most conservationist people that I know because they know it's like you gotta thin a herd to make it strong.
And they believe in stewardship of the
true.
They believe in
true
stewardship.
True stewardship.
Right. So
I study environmental science. I go on that article for for an hour by myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna ask if we can jump to an article, but if you have something else to say.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Let's move on to the next topic.
Yeah. Let's do it, man.
Okay, let's get on to something really funny. Cop put on leave for tattoo linked to anti-government group.
Oh yeah, bitch.
This is out of the New York Post, August 31st. A police officer in North Carolina has been put on paid leave after being photographed with a tattoo associated with a national anti-government group, throwing his ability to, quote, function effectively as a cop into question, according to the department's chief.
Are 3%ers really anti-government, or are
hold on? I didn't even see what the tattoo was yet.
Okay, sorry.
They're constitutionalists.
It's in the
not
article.
Anti-government.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was. Okay, sorry. Go on, Jason.
Chapel Hill police officer Cole P. Daniels, who joined the department in 2014, was placed on leave Monday after being photographed earlier this month with a distinctive tattoo, a Roman numeral 3 encircled by stars. Associated to the 3 percenters, a group considered by the Southern Poverty Law Center to be among the anti-government movement.
Why does the Southern Poverty Law Center have any opinions lodged on any of this shit? That's what I want to know.
Because they're like they're like the goy version of fucking the ADL.
Just so you guys know, the Southern Poverty Law Center has absolutely zero credibility for me.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like
Zero.
Snoops.
Oh yeah, for us too.
And I
like
tell
Snoops.
everybody at work the same thing.
Yeah, it's like Snopes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna fast forward in the article.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fast forward in the article. Confirmed that Daniels has been placed on administrative leave in a statement to the News and Observer, but did not respond to questions from the newspaper about the response to the initial report. Quote, the pervasiveness of the concerns raised by many regarding his display of a tattoo that is associated with the 3 percenters has caused the department to question his ability to function effectively as a police officer within this community. Therefore, the police department initiated an administrative investigation in accordance with our town's personal ordinance, policies, and procedures. Daniel will remain on leave pending the outcome of the investigation.
Okay. For anybody who...
And she disappeared.
Sorry, I got a phone call.
Okay.
And I'm on my phone.
Okay. Hold on. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
The 3%ers, meanwhile, is a collection of, quote, patriotic citizens who love their country, their freedoms, and their liberty, according to its website. Quote, we are committed to standing against and exposing corruption and injustice. Quote, we are not a militia. Being a 3%er is more of a way of life rather than a club you join. The group has denounced its anti-government label, instead insisting its members are, quote, very pro-government so long as the government abides by the Constitution.
Exactly. That's what I was just saying. They're constitutionalists.
Yeah. According to the SPLC, they are anti-government.
Yeah, but they're
well, technically, so pretty much, like, ironically, that says that, like, the government does not abide by the Constitution whatsoever. So they're they're anti this government just because of the fact that they're pro constitutional government.
Right. The irony.
So it's like the
irony is the government calling 3%ers anti-government because 3%ers want the government to live by its own fucking rules, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah, sorry about
hilarious. It's on so many levels too, though, because it's like, you can't serve on the police force because you believe in the Constitution when we fucking take an oath to uphold it. Like, what the fuck is that, dude?
We support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it means.
If that's the case, then the cops would be the enemy that's domestic. You know what I mean? If you think about it, because they're totally not about. They're operating under color of law. They're not operating under constitutional law.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that law is an opinion backed by a gun.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I'm not that the constitutional law is any better, but it was like, they didn't have all these statutes and all this bullshit that they have now.
Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, as an anarchist, if we lived under a truly 100% constitutional government, I would have very little to complain about.
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly, but it would be so much easier to roll it back to self-governance from that point.
Mm-hmm. Right, but if our government had stuck to the Constitution, like, I don't think I ever would have ended up pissed off enough to be searching for a better way and for answers. I don't think I ever would have become an anarchist.
Well, the whole thing is, I was talking to a friend on Instagram about this, and I was like, people, like, if you really talk to people, like, just on a basic level, like, not get all into, like, the nuances of anarchy and things like that, but, or economics or whatever, but, like, if you just talk to people on a basic level, they understand that something's fucking wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they know that it's not working in their favor. Like, that's at least apparent to them, unless they're fucking brain dead.
Yeah, nobody's satisfied with this guy.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what party is, and that's why they always they're like, oh, well, I'll go with this guy because maybe he seems like, and it's like, no, dude, it's the fucking whole entire structure.
They can't, It never occurs to them that what they're dissatisfied with is government, not which flavor of government we have, but the very concept of it.
Yeah. And that's what I try to get through to them. I'm like, dude, there's a different way that we could do all this. I'm like, we could keep our money, like all the money that we make, and then decide, like, community to community, like what we want to do with ourselves, because those people within those communities know what they want to fucking, like, what's best for them.
Right. Household to household, man. I mean, shit.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
But
people are gonna, like, because since we're like social animals, we're gonna end up, like, working together. So it's like,
right.
On some level, there's gonna be like
coerced,
exactly. That's what I mean.
As long as
it'd have to be like under an agreement.
Forced.
Yeah. It would be like a communal, like, kind of an understanding or agreement.
Yeah.
When I talk to people about anarchism and voluntarism, I try as hard as I can not to use the word anarchism or
me too.
Anarchy or anarchist.
Because it fucking scares.
Because
it's a trigger word.
Yeah.
It's been very deliberately and very thoroughly villainized.
Yeah, because they don't want people to
self-govern by design.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely by design.
Yeah, deliberately.
But when
the government
you really
operates on fear, so it makes sense.
Yeah, they have to use fear in order to justify their actions.
Exactly.
Right?
Like you need us. Remember, you need us.
Yeah, we have to violate X freedom or X liberty in order to protect you from QRS that we created.
Yeah, exactly.
Way back when.
And the only people, let's bring this back around in a full circle. The only people who benefit from mass fear are people who are in the defense, the coercive defense business. They're the only people who profit from that. So you know exactly where all that fear and hysteria comes from. They need it.
Yeah, there's an article I read earlier from the Rutherford Institute.
Feeds the beast.
Yeah, there's an article I read earlier from the Rutherford Institute, citing a study done by some Ivy League college. I don't remember which one it was. And what it basically comes down to is that the militarization of the police in the last 10 years in this country, the increase in tactics and Bearcats and MRAPs and all this other stuff and increased surveillance have had no effect on crime. In some places it's actually increased crime and increased police abuse.
Well, think about it, right? If you turn the police into a fucking army, right? And then the populace is viewed as the enemy.
Yep.
It's just gonna. It's another one of those reactionary things where the pendulum swings.
I've had this conversation with Andrew. Andrew, as you guys know, was in the military. He was in a special unit. I'm not gonna put words in his mouth as to what he did or whatnot, but he was telling me that one of his old platoon guys, one of his old teammates, worked for the Reno Police Department.
Yep.
Teaching the SWAT guys the things that he learned in the military.
Oh yeah, of course, dude.
To use on
the military works with the police departments, and dude, like a lot of the police departments
stuff on anyone really, but
this violates posse comitatus. Well, this is how they got around posse comitatus, because there isn't supposed to be a standing army in the United States, and that was the whole basis for the Second Amendment, was that the populace was supposed to be the standing or the defense, for the nation.
Militia.
And that's why people were supposed to be armed, you know what I mean? And also because if the government got out of fucking control, then we could fucking, retake it back or do whatever, or abolish it completely, like Jefferson said in the Declaration of Independence.
So far around because we could stick up for ourselves.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It was to give us like our teeth to fucking, be like, don't fuck with us, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Armed society is a polite society.
I was put through
well, that's what I try to tell people. Like,
I was put through military police training when I was in the Navy.
Yep.
And that's because all of the Navy's mastered arms, which is what their police are called, were sent overseas, were forward deployed, which left a big security hole. So they were training.
They call it auxiliary security force.
Yeah, they gave people auxiliary training to fill the gaps they left by deploying the actual professionals.
Yep.
But anyway, to your point that you were making, we had a New York City police officer come down to the base to train us in knife fighting.
Yeah.
So you had.
I'd bet dimes to dollar. Kind of shit? That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna bet dimes to dollars that he trained in Israel and trained Krav Maga.
Yep, exactly, dude. I was just gonna say that because you can look it up. Fucking Glenn Greenwald wrote an article about how, I think it was Glenn Greenwald. He wrote an article about how a lot of the major city police forces are training in Israel.
By the IDF,
yeah. That's fucking dangerous, dude, because they treat people like absolute garbage.
They do.
And he showed us some brutal tactics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. We don't use them on our kids,
my old
though.
man
we
fucking
promise we don't use them on our kids.
Well, my old man taught me like
Not saying we're not
CQC
tough.
techniques and shit. Like, because my dad was special forces, so he taught me fucking close quarter combat fucking techniques. Like how to fucking break somebody's collarbone or how to kick somebody's knee sideways to break their fucking leg or whatever. And he was like, don't ever
Even just
fucking
some of the
use
crowd
this shit
control
unless.
techniques, or
Yeah, and he
some of the
was just
holds and
like,
things like that.
don't ever
They're
use
fucking
this shit
painful.
unless like you're in a fucking life threatening situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Like respect the knowledge I'm giving you. Yeah.
And
so it's like
if,
I try not to fuck with people because like I know shit that like I could fucking disable somebody within fucking seconds. So it's like
yeah.
And without that kind of training, without that kind of police training, without the police militarized, things like that.
Yep.
Things like this next article wouldn't happen.
Good segue.
Right?
Yeah.
West Virginia State Police seized $10,000 from a couple without charging them with a crime.
Yep. Civil asset forfeiture.
I was just gonna say that. God bless it, right?
Well,
yeah.
It just
like surcharges and fucking tickets aren't gonna fund the fucking state enough as it is, right? Fuck out of here.
If you guys remember 2014, the federal government seized more through civil asset forfeiture than all the burglaries combined.
Oh yeah, totally, dude.
Yeah.
I watched something, I forget who did it, but it was like just the Philadelphia Police Department, like on our own, like through civil asset forfeiture made like, I don't even know, like over $4 billion, or not 4 billion, like $1 million or some ridiculous figure. I don't even know.
Strong arm robbery.
Yeah, it's like Highwaymen, dude.
Yeah.
It is absolutely Highwaymen.
All that goes into a big giant pot of money for all federal law enforcement agencies to apply to use.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
The article actually goes on to mention that
it's like a big slush fund.
In this case, courts granted the Morgan County Sheriff's Department received 90% of the proceeds, and the prosecutor's office received the other 10%. So this didn't even go to federal. This money stayed in the state.
So they have an incentive to fund their police department through robbery.
Yes.
That's pretty much what it is. It's pretty much what it is. Let's just be honest about it. Let's call a fucking spade a spade. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's even worse because it wasn't entirely in just money, right? So, a West Virginia State Police trooper issued Demetrius Patalis a warning for failed to drive within his lane just before seizing more than $10,000 in cash from him and his wife.
Jesus.
Right.
On June 9th, Tonya Smith.
And why? Because he had it on him while he was driving or something?
On June 9th, Tanya Smith, who was almost 8 months pregnant, and Patalis were headed to the Hollywood Casino in Jefferson County. They had capitalized on several promotional offers and had 13 and 14, respectively, $100 gift cards on them, along with cash. So it was cash and gift cards. The trooper pulled them over, Smith said in an interview, and ranged from accusing them of smuggling cigarettes to having drugs in the car to gift card fraud. After searching the car, their persons, and Smith's purse, the trooper let them go with a uniform warning citation. However, he also took the $10,478 in cash, the 78 gift cards in the car, Patalis' smartphone, according to the property disposition report. Smith said 27 of those cards were gift cards. The rest of them were the kind of reward cards you'd get from any chain business.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, sorry. I didn't know you were still reading one.
Hold on. Patalis and Smith ended up returning to their home in Eggwood Harbor, New Jersey, stripped of all their cash but $2 without ever having been charged with a crime.
All right. Now, what's the difference between me putting on a costume and a badge and putting lights on the top of my car and going robbing somebody?
Because you didn't get hired by them to do it.
Well, everybody knows
because I don't belong to the government gang. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. That's the only difference.
Like what? Like seriously, people don't even put it in those terms. It's like, okay, just because this person got magical fucking powers because they're part of a gang, backed by the government,
Right.
like that makes it okay for them to go and rob people on a whim. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna charge you with fucking whatever I can find you on cigarettes.
Well,
okay, you're smuggling cigarettes. Like,
okay. That's not what makes it okay, Dan. What makes it okay is
people's belief in it.
Well, no, is what makes it okay is fiddling with the terminology. You're not allowed to say that they're robbing people, that it's highway robbery, that it's piracy. They're just doing their jobs. It's civil asset forfeiture.
Yeah,
which is a direct result of the war on drugs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
totally, dude.
You get to if you change the terminology, then it's okay. Everybody knows.
Well, that's some leftist shit. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's like what communists do. They fucking twist terms to fucking suit their needs and
That's exactly what they are too. They're fucking.
Yeah, I'm gonna read. I got a quote here from Lysander Spooner. I want to drop on you guys real quick.
Ones. Yeah, Spooner's
the government,
man.
Yeah, the government, like a highwayman, says to a man, "Your money or your life." And many, if not most, taxes are paid under the compulsion of that threat. Yep. The government does not indeed waylay a man in a lonely place, spring upon him from a roadside, and holding the pistol to his head, proceed to rifle his pockets.
But they do. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. But the robbery is nonetheless a robbery on that account, and it is far more dastardly and shameful. The highwayman takes solely upon himself the responsibility, danger, and crime of his own act. He does not pretend that he has any rightful claim to your money, or that he intends to use it for your own benefit.
That's a good point.
He does not pretend to be anything but a robber. Yep. He does not acquire imprudence enough to profess to be merely a protector, and that he takes a man's money against his will merely to enable him to protect those infatuated travelers who feel perfectly able to protect themselves and do not appreciate his particular system of protection.
Yep.
He is too sensible a man to make such professions as these.
Right.
Yep.
Well, when I got pulled over the other day, dude.
Yeah.
They said that I had a tail light out, and I don't.
Jeez.
That was their whole excuse for pulling me over, other than my exhaust. But they used that as an excuse to pull me over and then get me out of the car and bust me.
They just thought you looked fishy or what?
No. He literally he was like, "Oh, where you been today?" And I was like, "Oh, I've been at home." He was like, "Why are you lying to me?" I was like, "Oh, so you've been watching my movement? Like, what the fuck is that, dude?" I was like, "What is this, PreCrime Division?" I was like, "Are people fucking like?" I was like, "Are people like guilty until proven innocent around here?" I was like, "I don't understand how this works." I was like, "I thought I had rights." I was like, "What are you guys doing watching me?" Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And he thought I wasn't intelligent enough to put two and two together, that he fucking pretty much insinuated that he'd been watching my movements. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, dude? You know?
Yeah.
It's like what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
To, have anybody be watching me? Like, I'm not fucking like selling fucking drugs to people or anything like that. Like, I just mind my own fucking business.
I'm not hurting anybody. Like,
well, that's the thing.
Go spend your time and resources on fucking murderers and rapists, you dicks.
Well,
Jesus fucking Christ.
But yeah, like I went over to my brother's house and I'm like, "Can you check my taillights?" So he looks and he's like, "Oh no, there's no taillights, dude." I'm like, "These motherfuckers, they I was like, I can't see my fucking taillights, so I assumed like, okay, maybe I do have a taillight out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing is they don't. You don't have to have something wrong. You don't have to do anything.
No. Not at all.
They have reasonable suspension. Like you mentioned your muffler, right? Yeah. Well, maybe it sounds wrong to them, so they can pull you over.
Yeah, that's like subjective.
Reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
It is literally the least, the lowest form of legal authority ever created. Is reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
Well, see, the funny thing is like I got banned from Twitter that day. And then I got pulled over. And then I'm like watching something on YouTube about how fucking like they have people don't know about this, but there's like an actual they have a score for you. Like if you say anything anti-Semitic or that they view anti-Semitic online, they literally flag you and watch what your activities are.
Damn, dude,
and
they're
they
all
have
over your ass.
dude, they have this shit called, I think it's called act.itl or act.il, and what it is, it's like a communal, it's like pretty much spies that aren't Jewish, but they work on behalf of Israel voluntarily to monitor people's activity online.
And do they not know the difference between anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist? Of course, they
No,
don't give
of
a
course
fuck.
not.
Because,
well, no, that's the whole thing. That
yeah.
like they've made it now so that like if you stand against Israel's like government's policies, that is literally viewed as anti-Semitic. But if you ask like somebody like the group like True Torah Jews, they'll say that they don't even believe in the existence of Israel because it's against the fucking Torah. You know what I mean? Like real religious Jews are like totally against Zionism.
Right.
Because they're like, it's a political movement and not a religious, like, community.
Right.
And they're like, the fact that they're trying to make it a Jewish ethno state is like totally against our religious beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they take it as like an affront. They take it as an affront to their belief in Judaism. You know what I mean? Because they really follow the Torah and shit.
Yeah, they're the ultimate cultural justice warrior.
Yeah, right.
Right. The Zionists are, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But those people would be viewed as self-hating Jews because it's like, oh, they're against Zionism. Like that's how they twisted it. It's so fucked up.
Right. Right. And they use Zionism and Semitism interchangeably, even though they mean totally different things. They fucking confuse it.
I have
by
Jewish
using
friends.
them
Like I'm cool with a lot of Jewish people. Like I have no fucking problem with Jewish people if they're cool people. You know what I mean? There's nothing to fucking do with that at all.
Yeah.
And then people call me a Nazi, and I'm like, okay, like I'm totally anti-authoritarianism. How does that even fucking equate?
How does that translate to fucking totalitarian
you know what I mean?
socialism?
Yeah, like I'm goose stepping over here.
Yeah.
Like in my anarchy boots. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Right. How does anarchy, no rulers, equal totalitarian socialism? Like.
And I'm like totally anti-socialism. I hate that shit. Like, just sometimes just communism. Fuck.
I have to bring it up. I have to bring it up because it just popped into my head. I saw the greatest "No Gods, No Masters" meme earlier, and it's a cop car crushed underneath a giant 20-sided die, and it says "No Gods, No Dungeon Masters."
Nice. Nice.
Oh man. Totally geeked out on that one.
Yeah.
I did. So
we're geeked out.
I put this kid one time.
The boys have been playing Magic the Gathering for weeks, So,
yeah. I was like fucking with this one kid that I went to school with because I saw him at the bar like after we graduated, and I was like, I knew that he played Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like just fucking with him. I was like, dude, you got all those journals still from like when we used to play Dungeons and Dragons together? And he like looked all confused because he was like, I don't think I ever played Dungeons and Dragons with you. I was like, dude, we totally did. he was like totally like I mind fucked him hard. And he was, it was hilarious, dude. And then I was like, nah, dude, I'm just fucking with you. I was like, I know we never played Dungeons and Dragons together. I was like, honestly, I've never played it in my life. I was like, but
bad Dan.
He was like, fuck you, Dan. He was like, fuck you, Dan. He's like, you're a fucking asshole, man. He had a good laugh about it. I bought him a beer.
Gaslighting poor some little kid. Bastard.
No, he was the same age as me.
Well, yeah. Physically, maybe. So what's our next article?
I was gonna segue on the
oh sure, yeah.
The war on drugs. The war on drugs, right? That's the basis for all of this, or for not all of it, but most of this civil asset forfeiture. Also part of that is pregnant woman who killed intruder in justified shooting now faces felony gun charge. Oh, you'll love this one, Kevin. I see you down there. A pregnant woman who shot and killed an intruder who attacked her in her Arkansas home is now facing felony gun possession charges, even though authorities ruled the shooting was justified due to a prior marijuana conviction.
Yeah.
Yep. Ow. Drop my phone.
Yeah. There it is. That's why legalization is fucking bogus. And you should still fucking go through the black markets and not... Because
Yep.
Yeah, that's why legalization is fucking bogus.
Let's see. On the afternoon, December 7th, Fort Smith resident Chrissy Noble, 21, shot and killed Dylan Scankoff when he attacked her in her apartment. Noble was 11 weeks pregnant at the time. When officers arrived at the scene that day, witnesses pointed to the living room where Scankoff lay dead on the couch, a pool of blood on the floor next to him, according to police report. Noble, who was standing in the dining room, pointed to the living room coffee table to show the officers the gun, which was loaded with one bullet in the chamber, the police stated. During questioning, Noble told officers that earlier that day she had returned home from doing community service at the local county courthouse. She noticed a gray car parked in the ditch in front of her apartment. Let's see. When Noble heard a knock on the door, she became, quote, a little nervous since her husband was not home and there had been attempts to break into the apartment in the past. So she then went to the bedroom to retrieve one of her husband's guns and placed it in the living room. Noble told police that the man who knocked on the door seemed to be, quote, a nice man, and that she relaxed when he asked for her husband, Brendan Tran, because she assumed they were in the same unit in the military. Yeah, her husband is fighting for our freedom, and she's going to go to jail on a felony gun charge because she doesn't have the freedom to use a naturally growing plant.
Right, because she got caught using a substance that the government says you're not allowed to put in your own fucking body. And because that's on her record, she's not allowed to defend herself from violent intruders. How does that make any fucking sense?
Yep.
Fuck you.
It's more of that government magic, dude.
Yep. So,
what is it? Moral transmutation?
Yeah, moral transmutation. Yeah. Noble, blah, blah, blah. Noble informed the man that Tran wouldn't be home until late that afternoon, the police report stated. When he asked me to come back at 5 p.m., she said, sure. After the man left, Noble tried to look him up on Facebook, couldn't find him according to the report. She then called her husband and told her that he did not know anyone by the name Cameron White. Minutes later, Noble heard a car pull up in front of the apartment while she was still on the phone with her husband, who then told her that he would call her right back and that he was going to have a neighbor come over to the apartment. When Stankoff came back and knocked on the door a short time later, Noble opened the door and he shoved her back inside according to the report. Once inside, the man tackled her and began trying to cover her mouth with his hand when she thought she smelled of chemicals, the report states. He then started hitting her in the face with his fist.
Wow.
After she was able to break free, Noble grabbed the pistol off the coffee table and shot the man 3 times before running to her neighbor's apartment and telling her to call 911.
Okay, so maybe she should have just went the liberal route and peed herself.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, because wasn't that their recommendation? Like, instead of shooting somebody, just pee yourself?
Yeah, that was in Colorado. That's what they told it. I think it was like Colorado State. They told the girls just to urinate themselves. And I think University of Texas, they told the girls to don't resist.
Yeah, just get raped. Just get
because rapists, because rapists like the
you can
fight.
Play the victim card later on. Yeah,
yeah, that's what it was. Is rapists like the fight? They like the power. So if you don't fight, you don't give them that power, then they'll just climb off of you and go away.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. I mean, look at Europe.
Yeah.
Look at Europe with the rape gangs. You know what I mean? If you just give up, they'll stop, right?
Rape is like dominance. Submitting to them is what they fucking crave, and they will force you to submit. It's different than, power in a physical struggle. It's, oh my god.
Well, you know what?
It's the conquest.
If I was ever president, I'd tell women, hey, all of you get a fucking gun. If anybody ever tries to rape you, shoot them in the fucking face.
Yep.
That's all I have to say.
I tell my daughter, like, my daughter is now going to
2 center body mass.
Word.
My daughter is now going to a community college here in Northern California. She has to ride the bus. It's like 25 miles to the community college. She rides the bus from her city to the college, which is a gun-free zone.
But now didn't they
side note,
yeah.
It's to buy a pistol in California, it's 25.
Oh.
They recently raised the age limit to buy a long gun from 18 to 21.
Jesus.
Well,
beautiful.
But the campus is a gun-free zone. Side note, she laughed her ass off when she saw that they had a designated safe area.
Right.
Yeah.
She had a lot of fun laughing at that one with me.
Didn't you post that article
gun,
about like?
Make sure you don't saw it down a quarter of an inch too short.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or your family will get shot up.
Yeah, in an 11-day siege or whatever.
Yeah, 11 days.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yep.
That was episode 41 where we spent the entire time talking about Ruby Ridge.
Yep.
Which was a damn good episode.
Good one too. Yeah.
I had some good feedback on that one. And we mentioned you at the beginning of that one, Dan.
I'm sure.
Because they left Iowa because of Zog.
Yeah.
The Zionist occupied government.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, dude, I watched this thing earlier today, and they said that like one of the biggest contributors to government to Israel and to the United States government in terms of lobbying on behalf of Israel is the Christian Zionist movement in the United States and the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Like Pastor Hagee and like his church, like he's raised like millions and millions of dollars for fucking Israel. And it's so crazy because it's like, and people will, of course, like we were saying, they'll equate this to anti-Semitism, and it has nothing to do with that. But I mean, you look at it, and Israel has funneled so much money out of so many Western nations, and especially ours. Like like taxpayers, dude.
Oh my God.
Like they get so much money out of us, it's ridiculous. Like we're literally being robbed by them, and like that's why I have an issue because it's like if they're totally like a functioning first world nation. They don't need our fucking, our aid. Yeah, no, not at all.
No.
So, and the fact that they get the most aid out of any country it's totally ridiculous.
And what do they ever fucking do for us?
No, nothing. That's the other thing I say. And they're like, well, they're Israel, so we got to give them our money because of the Holocaust and because.
Did we do that?
All these other things. No, that's what I'm saying.
Germany if they want money. Jesus Christ.
Well, they do. They get money out of Germany for the Holocaust.
Oh, I bet they do.
It's crazy. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So back to the rape thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's now facing felony weapons charges because she was on probation for having a plant. And as we talked about here in California, raising the age for the long gun to be able to purchase a long gun, same with the pistol. My daughter going to college, it is a gun-free zone. They also have, according to the school rules, she can't carry a knife, she can't carry pepper spray.
So it's a magical safe space.
No,
it's a magical safe space.
State of California also has laws against her carrying things like brass knuckles.
I was just gonna say, get her some brass knucks. Damn.
Can't do it. She carries knives.
So they pretty much want them defanged.
Yes. So she does carry a knife. She does carry a knife. She keeps it deep in her pocket. And she also has a keychain lanyard with a shitload of key fobs and stuff on it. And it's about I think it was like 14 ounces when we weighed it, and it's a mighty little sling.
Yeah,
it'll hurt some motherfucker.
Not only that, all you really need is like a key, and you put it like between your fucking
between your
middle
fingers
finger.
And
you stab somebody in the fucking neck with that shit, dude.
There you go. There's her fucking little ballpoint pen.
He has an ass pen. He will stab you with that. Put that back in your prison wallet, Jason.
You've seen John Wick. You've seen John Wick, right? You know the story.
Yeah.
He killed him with the fucking pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking badass, dude.
Everything is a weapon. Everything is a weapon. I taught my daughter everything is a weapon.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. If you know how to utilize it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This girl was 11 months pregnant She's on the floor getting her fucking face punched in.
Yeah.
She grabbed what was available. She grabbed what was available, and now she's gonna go to prison. She has a young daughter, who's I think she's 11 months pregnant back in December. Then her daughter's probably only a month old now, maybe 2 months old. So she has an infant. She has an infant. Yeah. She's gonna go to fucking prison for using a firearm to defend herself.
Yeah,
not just herself.
Herself and her baby.
Well, I was just gonna say that, dude. Like on a biological level, like a mother is trying to defend her and her child, so she's gonna do whatever the fuck it takes. To survive that. You know what I mean? Like anybody would on a normal level, but if you're pregnant, like that kind of gives you like a totally different mindset. I would imagine for a woman. You know what I mean?
Do not fuck with a mama bear.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No.
So it's like
the ferocity and fierceness.
Yeah, because that like definitely affects your psychology and changes it, because it's like you're not only like, you know, fending for yourself, but you're fending for the one that you're carrying too. Like, and it's like you're gonna fight harder for that. You're gonna fight harder for that kid than you would for yourself, like almost.
And you know what? If assholes like that fucking cunt in Texas, whatever her name was, they got off on drowning her 4 kids because of postpartum depression. If she can
that's fucking
get off
crazy,
on that
dude.
By claiming hormones were fucking her up, then why can't a mom who's defending herself and her unborn child?
And I would think that a woman would do that more than they would fucking drown their children in the
no shit
on fucking hormones. Because it's like it's a woman's instinct to fucking protect her young.
Yeah, protection. Fuck you. She should never go to jail for that. Killing your kids. She should have gotten the fucking chair. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, dude.
If she was
for
depressed,
real.
I don't give a fuck if she was depressed. She should have gotten the chair for that.
I can't disagree with that at all.
Fucked up, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot disagree with that at all, and it's.
I mean, in a just world, that are like fucking like voluntary world, the father would have been able to take her behind the woodshed and fucking put her out.
Right, seriously.
For killing all of his kids. So it's the same thing as the chair, except, you know, I mean, that's the only option.
It's more exact justice than fucking the state justice.
Right.
Yeah. Like we can go off all day on this one article alone. Like this one article alone, you can go off all day talking about operational OPSEC per second and how she shouldn't have told him when her husband would be back. She could have said, "Oh, he's asleep and he's taking a nap," or you know, something like that, in order to put it in the guy's mind that he was there and that she wasn't alone and blah blah blah. Like we can go all day on that. She shouldn't have opened
the door the second time. She should have just fucking left it locked and shut.
But, for sure.
You know, but some of these like social things are so ingrained in people.
At least she didn't go Joe Biden, and put two blasts through the door or whatever he said.
Fucking Joe the pedo.
Oh God,
piece of shit, man.
Creepy Uncle
I miss Joe memes.
Like they have that motherfucker fondling kids like pretty much on video.
Yeah.
You're like trying to like get close on them and shit and like grabbing them and shit. And I'm like, this fucking scumbag, dude. Like if that was my kid, fuck that dude would have been out on the floor.
Hell yeah.
Well, Joe likes pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking disgusting, man.
So what's our next article then?
Utahn? UTAHN? That's a fucking word.
Utahn, I guess.
Utahn threatened mass shooting using a 3D printed gun.
Okay. All right. Give me a second here.
This is a psyop, if anything.
It really is.
Or it's like an onion article.
It's a fucking scare tactic. It is a blatant, not even trying to fucking cover their tracks, scare tactic. Because 3D printed guns, currently they shoot one fucking round. 50% of the time they work.
Yeah, 50% of the time. 50%. Like Cody Wilson. Like the guy that invented, 3D printed guns 5 years ago, fired one shot and then posted the instructions. The engineer that designed it has never fired it because he's scared to fire
it. So no, there is no mass shooting happening with one of these things, because
No.
a mass shooting is defined
No.
as any shooting that kills or injures 3 or more people. You've got
And usually people aren't even that accurate. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
Like, especially with something like that.
Yeah.
You'd have to be up close.
No,
like,
no. Here's.
and
I'll
you couldn't
even
like,
go.
I mean, just to kill
I'll
one
even go
person,
one more.
like, you'd have to be up close.
I'll even go one more. I'll throw some inside baseball at you. Cody Wilson, our buddy Shane Radcliffe, Liberty Under Attack, did a live interview with Cody Wilson from Defense Distributed like 2 weeks ago.
Thanks.
Yep.
I need to go listen to that.
Cody Wilson himself.
I posted it in the chat.
Cody Wilson himself says in the interview that the plans that were released 5 years ago, downloaded 100,000 times in 5 days, you know, before the DOJ ordered them removed. Yep. Those plans are flawed. that gun from those plans only fires about 1 in 5 times because the measurement ratios are off.
Oh man.
The plans, the recent plans, the ones that were out for like 4 or 5 days, there was only like 2,700 downloads.
Yep.
Those are the accurate ones.
Okay.
Right. So the new plans are good. The old plans are wrong. So if this guy used the wrong plans, the gun's gonna blow up in his fucking hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even if he used the right plans, he can get off one shot at a time.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
One shot at a time.
There's no mass anything fucking happening. Here.
No.
Unless you're counting.
This is all like fucking
dog
and pony show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to like get the masses to be like, oh well, people can't be responsible for fucking like making their own firearms when it already happens anyway before fucking 3D printed fucking guns.
Well, let's not only forget that, as I just mentioned, 5 years ago, right? The plan came out 5 years ago.
Yeah.
If there was going to be a shooting with a 3D printed gun, you would have fucking known about it already.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Seriously.
Right.
Like they could have pulled a PSYOP before now.
Well, if you remember when there was the big push for concealed carry on campus in Texas.
Yeah.
It was like Texas and Colorado. They both started making the moves to allow concealed carry on campus. And then there was like that one teacher in South Carolina that had a accidental discharge in class, right? Remember? You guys remember that one?
Yep.
Right? Total fucking psyop, right?
Oh, totally.
So I think the same thing, but a South Jordan man faces a criminal charge after police say he threatened to commit a mass shooting at a small South Salt Lake school using a gun made from a 3D printer. Austin James David West, 23, was charged August 9th with making a threat of violence, a Class B misdemeanor. Yeah, August 8th, West was arrested at his home after he talked with another student, quote, about using a gun to shoot students at Broadview University. The statements were forwarded to a university, which caused the university dean to be fearful that a school shooting was actually going to take place. An email had to be sent to faculty and students warning them of the threat of a shooting at the school. The school chose to remain open. I mean, that tells you right there what it is. But West sent several texts to another student he had known for several years, stating that he would commit a shooting that, quote, people would be talking about. So he was in it for the notoriety. Quote, the text message sent by the suspect referred to killing people with a 3D printed gun, so the gun cannot be traced back to him. The message contained images of what appears to be a male in a video holding a rifle while standing over another male that is lying on the ground. Yeah.
Wow.
A 3D printed rifle has not actually been created.
That's what I was just gonna say, dude. Well, then they play on the ignorance of the populace. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, well, you know, if we can fool them, they can get behind this fucking bullshit. They fucking ban 3D printed fucking anything, you know? So
police served the warrant at West South Jordan home on August 8th, where he lived with his parents, and seized a 3D printer. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for your service, gentlemen.
I have so little fear of a mass shooting from a 3D printed firearm. Like I literally, like it is completely blue skies outside right now. And I have more fear of a lightning strike than I do of a mass shooting with a 3D printed firearm. I mean,
it's seriously still blue skies out there. It's 7:30, 7:40.
It's starting to get dark, but it's I can still see out the window. It's still light outside.
No shit. No shit.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking California, bro.
I know. Us East Coast motherfuckers are like fucking on our way to bed and shit.
Well, you're also like northernly from me, also.
Oh yeah, totally.
No. Hi. And she mutes.
So yeah,
herself.
the fucking.
Hi, sorry.
We're talking about this guy in Utah threatening to mass shooting with a 3D printed firearm.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous, man, that they would even insinuate that.
I have to read that one quote from you. Quote: the text messages sent by the suspect reference killing people with a 3D printed gun, so the gun cannot be traced back to him. The message contained images of what appeared to be a male in a video holding a rifle while standing over another male that is lying on the ground. There are no 3D printed rifles as far as I know.
And even if there were, would it work? Would it work more than once?
Whoever took this threat seriously and made it into a national headline.
The school took the threat so seriously that it remained open.
Okay, so at least the school knew what was up, you know. But like, why is this a fucking headline? I don't understand. Like,
it's because it's a 3D printed thing, and it was this guy was arrested the same day that the initial cease and desist order was approved by the judge.
Well, we know from your thread the other day that there's people who will just randomly threaten other people and never follow through. And they just talk out their fucking asses for some reason.
Oh, fucking people.
Yeah, that was fun thread.
I was telling Dan that 3D printed firearms, a mass shooting with a 3D printed firearm, like I just have blue skies here. There's not a cloud in sight. I'm more worried about a lightning strike than I am about a mass shooting with a 3D printed firearm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more likely. Like being struck by lightning is more likely.
Totally.
So.
But guys, like, you know, aren't you scared at all? Like, don't you feel like you need the government to come protect you?
Considering as according to the article from the Rutherford Institute that I mentioned earlier, I am 8 times more likely to be killed by a cop than a terrorist. I am not afraid of of outside threats.
I'm sorry. Just you know what? Even if I were afraid of getting pecked by the chickens, I wouldn't invite the fox to guard me because of it.
No, you just kick the chicken in the fucking head.
Yeah. I can handle the chickens. I don't need to invite the predator in.
Oh my god, it pecked me.
Yeah.
The chicken pecked me. Well, welcome to the crock pot. Yeah. Oh, okay. Now this one, as the one about the girl being charged with using the firearm, that one pissed me off. But this one, as we mentioned, I studied environmental science, and I have serious issue with the U.S. government's use of cyanide traps for predator control. What it is, it's like a little container, and when they'll bait it with something, with some sort of meat, and when a predator comes up to gnaw the meat, the trap will explode and release cyanide gas.
Oh wow!
And it's a way of poisoning poisoning the predator. It is very indiscriminate because it will kill whatever's around. It will also kill whatever eats anything that the cyanide killed.
Yep.
So you'll get vultures and crows and other predatory birds like bald eagles. Bald eagles are scavengers.
They can be,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, so like a coyote or a fox or bear or somebody's pet Labrador triggers this, and it goes off, and it, okay. So I have some serious issue with these of these, but U.S. denies liability after boy is sprayed by its cyanide trap. This is out of Boise, Idaho. This is out of the Idaho Statesman. The U.S. government said an Idaho family is to blame for any injuries it alleges a boy received after he was doused with a cyanide by a predator-killing trap that a federal worker mistakenly placed near their home.
That sounds like a heaping, steaming fucking pile of liability to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Any injuries were caused by the negligence of the parents and child, the U.S. Department of Justice said in documents filed Monday in the U.S. District Court, and asked that the family's lawsuit be dismissed. Mark and Teresa Mansfield of Pocatello said in June, sued in June, seeking more than $75,000 in damages and more than $75,000 for pain and suffering. They said their son, Canyon Mansfield, who was playing with his dog in March 2017 when the 14-year-old triggered the trap the U.S. Department of Agriculture placed to kill coyotes. The dog died, and the teen still has headaches from the poison. In a response, the government, quote, expressly denied any alleged negligence by the defendant or its agencies or employees.
Except that they said it was mistakenly placed near their home by their fucking employee.
Yeah. The devices, called M44s, are embedded in the ground and look like a lawn sprinkler, but spray cyanide when they are set off. They are meant to protect livestock, but sometimes kill pets and injure people. This is... The traps drew increased scrutiny after the Associated Press reported that the teen was injured months after the department decided to stop using the devices on federal lands in Idaho.
So did they not go gather up all their fucking traps?
Oh, no, this was placed after that.
It was placed after. I thought maybe it had been left there.
Yeah. So to stop using devices on federal lands in Idaho. The lawsuit contends that the Agriculture Department of the state worker acknowledged that the law enforcement officials placing the trap in air on land managed by the U.S. Bureau of Land Management. The court document filed by the Justice Department does not acknowledge such an error. Yeah, the agency said in court documents that, quote, defendant admits that 2 M44 devices placed by a federal employee were discharged in the incident involving CM being the kid, and his dog. The lawsuit mentions only one M44 activating, and law enforcement officials who responded last year didn't mention additional devices discharging.
So wait, how is it negligence of the parents anyways? I don't understand. The kid was 14. He was out, roaming the woods with his dog. And 14-year-old boys should be able to do that. It's not like he's a fucking toddler. You know? That's not negligence from anybody. A kid should be able to walk around with his fucking dog without getting sprayed with cyanide.
Let's see. The lawsuit describes the boy encountering the device and says he thought it looked like a sprinkler head. Quote, when he reached down and touched the pipe, it exploded with a loud bang, knocking CM to the ground and spewing an orange powdery substance.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's not okay.
Yeah, the government says it's not its fault that the cyanide, the indiscriminate poison trap that it placed on federal lands after acknowledging that it shouldn't be used.
No, it's exactly
wasn't their fault.
That's exactly their fault. It's exactly their fucking fault. It's nobody else's fault but theirs. I mean, that's just bullshit.
Like I can go on and on and on and on and on for hours about this subject alone, because the indiscriminateness or indiscriminatoriness.
I don't know.
Either way,
whatever. The nature of how indiscriminate it is.
The randomness, the indiscriminate way these things are used. They're a poison trap, and all the kid did was touch it. He touched it, and it went poof, orange cloud, right?
And it looked like a fucking lawn sprinkler. It's not like it looked like a bear trap. It looked like a fucking lawn sprinkler.
Yeah, right.
They're not very big. They're not very big. They're not very big at all. They're only I want to say they have a spike. They have a spike at the bottom that they place into the ground, and then the actual canister itself is only like 8 or 10 inches tall. It's not very big at all. Oh yeah, there's a picture, and it does look like an old sprinkler head. It really it's not very big, right? I mean, you see it between two rocks.
Yeah.
But it does look like an old sprinkler head.
Yeah.
And
it looks like something a 14-year-old boy would be curious about.
Oh, it's something that a 38-year-old man would be curious of.
Well, that's true too. That's true too.
Yeah. I love all that old ghost town shit and pioneer stuff, and like I would check it out. I would go look at it.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't now because I don't want to get fucking hit with a poison cyanide cloud.
Right? Seriously. What the fuck, dude?
Thank you, Monsanto. I'm sure it's their fault. No, but the government says that their bomb going off and injuring this child is not their fault.
No, it's their fault.
Yeah.
It's exactly their fault.
We should put those on the southern border to get rid of those coyotes.
Not those coyotes. The coyotes and the mules.
Different kind than you're thinking of.
Bait them with tequila shots.
And burritos, tacos.
Yeah, people don't realize the amount of fucking human trafficking that goes on at the fucking southern border. And it's not just like Mexicans. It's like people of pretty much any fucking nationality. That's like the easiest access point. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have, what is it? I forget what they call them, but they're non-Mexican whatever. And it's like a lot of the people coming across to the border aren't fucking Mexican.
Right. So,
and that's your that's your segue, Kevin. New Mexico. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Can you talk about the compound and the kids and how they got off from that judge, but what you were telling me earlier.
Well, I don't have the article in front of me, but yeah, apparently this group of people that in the New Mexico compound where they were allegedly training kids to be school shooters. The judge in New Mexico originally dismissed the charges against these guys because the judge said it was Islamophobia. I mean, literally, I'm not even making that shit up. The judge had dismissed the charges because he said it was an obvious bias against Islam. And they were still held on appeal. And I guess within 10 days, the state's supposed to file something with regards to the case, and the state failed to do so. So the judge said that she had no choice but to let them go.
Child abuse charges against them were dropped because prosecutors missed the 10-day limit for evidentiary hearing to establish probable cause.
Yeah, but there's more to this story.
Well, what we what we think at work is that they wanted to dump the fucking judge because the judge was obviously like pro-Islam. So
wow.
the judge dismissed the case, and guess what? Today, the fucking FBI arrested all of them.
Yeah, they wanted to take it to a federal court, so they had the FBI arrest them after letting the other judge drop the case.
But get this shit. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but the fucking main guy, or one of the main guys in that compound, his father was an unindicted co-conspirator to the original
the World Trade Center, the first
bombing.
one, like not 9/11.
Wow.
The blind sheet,
like the 94.
Yeah.
Was it 94?
Yeah.
But wasn't FBI involved in facilitating that, dude?
I have no idea.
As far as I knew,
because
I think they like had him on.
Is still sitting in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Siraj Ibn Wahhaj. Wahhaj. Wahhaj.
Right. But
I could have swore they had him like on audio tape or something. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have
swore this guy that they arrested. Yeah. So, and the kid that was dead at the compound was
the 3-year-old,
the son of one of them.
Yeah, he was the guy. It was the guy's son. He kidnapped him from Georgia.
From the mother.
From the
Abdul Ghani Wajab, the 3-year-old with severe medical issues, went missing from Georgia in December.
Right. So it was I guess the story is it was his medical issues that caused his death.
The thing that fucking makes my head spin around on my shoulders is the fact that these guys had built this makeshift compound in the middle of New Mexico, or northern New Mexico.
So like the Mojave Desert
was obviously turning it into a terrorist training camp. I guess had documents and witness testimony that he was training kids to be fucking school shooters, and the judge dismissed the fucking case almost immediately because he said it was because of Islamophobia.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Siraj
that's insane.
Ibn Wahhaj, whose dad runs a mosque in the Bedford, has been linked to the 1993 World Trade Center bombings.
Yeah,
that's according to the New York Post.
Right.
But
but he was never indicted.
You have obvious bad guys, and the fucking judge just lets him go because he says it's Islamophobia.
Yeah, that's like these guys are like fucking Team America World Police level villains. Like they don't get any more fucking obvious.
He watched the man and his mom perform an exorcism ritual over the boy, in reference to the 3-year-old, including one in which one of the youngsters choked and his heart stopped.
Wow.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
People
defense
are so
lawyers
fucked in the head.
Yeah, defense lawyers have argued that the 5 adults were exercising their constitutional rights to practice their religion and own firearms, and that the group was discriminated against because they are black and Muslim. Ooh, they pulled 2 cards. They pulled 2 cards on that one.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I mean, if I told you all the fucking times that the government had fumbled fucking investigations and cases, you'd probably guys be hiding under your couches.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
At this time, it was like a clear win, and the fucking judge let him out.
And that's
but then they did
thing about our system. People talk about, the system works if we have the right people. You can't get the right people. You fucking can't. These assholes can shop for judges. This time they're doing it maybe for a good reason, I don't know. But you can fucking shop for judges. Literally, prosecutors and agencies and government entities, they can fucking shop for judges. It is not justice is not uniform.
No.
In this country is my point. It is not fucking uniform.
Hey Jason,
and it's not justice.
Did you hear about the guy that was targeting or discussing targeting Pier 39 in San Francisco.
Which guy?
There was just some stupid ass that was working with, I guess, who he thought was an ISIS operative to fucking help him start targeting Pier 39 for an attack.
I've been there.
Oh, back at Christmas time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the FBI had this asshole under investigation, and one of the agents in I think it was in DC accidentally fucking called his home phone number. And I don't know how they fucked it up, but they called him from DC by accident, and the guy answered the phone, and they hung up. And then, like, as soon as that fuck up happened,
that's him. That's the guy that you're talking about right now.
Yeah, he contacted.
He looks like a fuck up.
He contacted the his point of contact, who he thought was the ISIS jihadi, and said, "Oh, I changed my mind. I can't go through with this. I'm not going to do this." And like the FBI had to fucking raid his house the next day because they fucked the whole case up.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Here we go. Okay. All right.
To edit the Benny Healthy.
That was just
this says right here. According to a criminal complaint, Jameson was identified as an ISIS supporter in September based on social media activity, which was brought to authorities' attention by an agency informant. From that point on, FBI agents posing as terrorist sympathizers began routinely communicating with Jameson to draw out his possible intentions for mass violence.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, look up the New York Times article where the FBI facilitates terror.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To fucking justify their increase in their budget.
Hey guys,
well, yeah, there was the anarchist in St. Louis wanted to blow up the bridge. They were provided bomb making material by an FBI informant.
Yep.
Hey, we only
it's not the entire FBI though, because it's like there's subgroups within the FBI. It's fucked up.
I was gonna say we've only got a couple minutes before YouTube starts cutting off the beginning of the video.
No, I was wrong on that. It's actually.
Oh.
Yeah. It just took a little longer to render. Yeah, let's get on to a happy story.
Sure.
Featuring our very own Mysterica's dad.
My dad. Yeah.
Her daddy.
My dad.
Not her anarcho daddy, which is me, but her actual
my actual daddy. Father. Yeah. Well, my adoptive father.
Adopted.
Right? You want to get technical. But I mean, they adopted me before I was even born. Their lawyer brought me to their house when I was 8 hours old, so he's my dad.
Yeah, he's your dad. It's an earned title, not a given title.
That's right.
But Fairy Tale Park gets happy ending in McMinnville.
McMinnville. Yeah.
McMinnville. Yeah. The mushroom house is patched. The graffiti is cleaned up. The trails have been resurfaced, and just like that, the long neglected Fairy Tale Park looks like it looks to have a happy ending. For years, Gavin McBee Airport Park has languished in McMinnville, but a group of local volunteers has now resurrected the whimsical forested trails, breathing new life into one of the most unique public spaces in the Willamette Valley.
Willamette.
I'll call it whatever I want to call
it. It's Oregon. I mean, shit. We got like there's so many like Native American, like different tribal things and different names, and oh my god, who can pronounce all of it?
Oregon.
I will fucking murder you in your sleep.
Colorado. Yeah. I heard California the other day.
Oh god.
Yeah.
California.
California. Yeah.
Jesus. All right, so this is Airport Park, and we used to go for walks there all the time when we were kids. We take our dogs, we go, and it's really neat. It has these gorgeous like water fountains, and they're made in all these different like interesting shapes, and a bunch of them have like seashells pressed into them, and it was almost like a hunt or like a game. You'd race each other to the next water fountain, and we all knew where they were and stuff like that, and then there was the mushroom house, which was a little weird, but whatever.
And oyster shells. Oyster shells decorate the 9 fountains in the park.
Right, and then the mushroom house is near the beginning of the trail, and there's a beautiful bridge going over a creek, and it's super Oregon-y. Okay,
yeah,
look at that. It's fucking gorgeous.
The ferns and the wood planks, and it's just
right. It's beautiful. That's Oregon. That's what the woods in Oregon look like. It's gorgeous. But this place is all surrounded by farmland, and there's an airport right there. And it's actually the National Guard Armory is right there next to it, because I used to drill there when I was in Sea Cadets, and we'd go do our
you were in
PT run. I was, yeah. And so we go do really?
Yeah. I only did it for 1 year, yeah.
Oh, I did it for years. I was like a staff cadet at boot camp and all that. So we used to go do our PT run through Airport Park. So I mean, that park meant a lot to me growing up, but it meant a lot to everybody in our town. Just so people know, Airport Park was a big deal to everybody. But you want to read the rest of it, Jason?
Yeah. I being what's her name? Jamie Hale, the person that wrote the article. When I visited in mid-May, the mushroom houses were marred with graffiti filled with crushed beer cans and condom wrappers. Beautiful concrete drinking fountains had adorned the park, some shaped into spirals, others elaborately decorated with shells, but none were operative, and all were covered with thick coat of moss. Agricultural runoff ran over the trail. Part of the maintenance issues have to do with the transition from the winter to spring. McMinnville Parks and Recreation Director Jay Peterson said that part of the problem is also the lack of funding. The city hit an economic slump in 2008, he said, and ever since it has been hard to keep up with the maintenance of its sprawling park system. The story caught the attention of Dean Claus, a member of McMinnville's Sunrise Rotary Club. Quote, I read it and I thought, man, what a sad story to put on the travel page, he told the News Register. Quote, and then I thought, anytime there's a problem, it's an opportunity.
That's my dad.
He's a freaking voluntarist.
Yeah,
Claus,
he doesn't know
Claus,
he is.
Claus talked to fellow Rotary Club members who agreed to adopt the park and then spent the better part of a year cleaning it up. Volunteers gathered to resurface trails, clean out culverts, replace signs, and patch up and repaint the iconic mushroom houses. They also got in touch with Galen McBee himself, the McMinnville's first park director and airport manager. Okay, quote, I thought it goes it goes on to talk about the history of the park and blah blah blah, which we don't really need to go all that into, but but who will fix the parks?
Right.
My dad, sounds like chaos to me, dude.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, we talked
absolute insanity.
My dad is one of the reasons I can believe in voluntarism, because he's been a member of Rotary Club forever, and I was even a member of Rotary Club for a while until they switched days and I didn't have childcare and blah blah blah. But there are still organizations like Rotary Club that is local business owners and then other local people that want to be involved and want to do good in their communities. They get together and deliberately look for things they can do to make the community a better place.
I have a beautiful idea. What's that? Since it's called the Rotary Club, we buy some helicopters.
Oh, don't don't think I've never made that joke before, just not to my dad. He probably wouldn't think that was in very good taste. Pinochet and the Rotary Club.
And we've talked about this thing before, or not this exact part, but we talked about the same thing before. Several months ago with our friend Ryan Butcher. They're in near Palmer, Alaska. He took his kids to the park and saw graffiti and garbage everywhere. Like there's cuss words scribbled on the slide and all this other stuff. And he contacted one or two other people. One of those people contacted the local newspaper, and then the newspaper ran an article about it. And
isn't that the dude that runs like America Today and shit?
America Today and American News Network and
yep.
A bunch of like now he's making homemade skateboards. Like
nice.
Crazy creative guy. And that carried over, and like they got paint donated, they got tools donated. Like some lady came out and catered lunch in the rain for them, and just the community came together and cleaned up the park and repainted and resurfaced and made it beautiful.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the Rotary Club did with your dad. Your dad saw this article, read the article, was like, we need to go do something. Right. That's proof. That's absolute freaking proof that voluntarism works.
Yeah.
Well, that's like what Carl.
People don't know this, but there's a Rotary Club in almost every town.
We have one here. We have one here in Antioch, and they do sponsor a park downtown.
Yep. So, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say that's like pretty much what Carl Hess was saying. He was saying that neighborhoods are gonna have to secede to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Government is a very top down.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's government is organized top down. Freedom is organized bottom up.
Yes,
right. It's not what
it empowers the individual.
Yeah, it's not what XYZ. It's not what XYZ does in the next town over that affects me. It's what my neighbors. It's what my neighbors do.
Yeah.
But let's also clarify that doesn't mean that freedom is grassroots. Grassroots implies a political agenda. It implies a coercive agenda still.
Just say no to political crusading.
Yeah, no political crusading.
Well, it's decentralized down to self-governance is what it is. And like people don't want to be fucking responsible. Yeah, and people don't want to be fucking responsible for their own actions. Doesn't mean you can't work with other people though.
Or I don't even say secede down to the household. You know what I mean? Like secede down to the family unit
is definitely
right. Yeah. Because my kids aren't fucking seceding, not until they're old enough to manage their own lives.
Well, there's lines that have to be drawn in terms of children and things like that, because obviously they can't be fucking independent on their own right out of the womb.
I'm responsible for them. Therefore,
exactly.
I have power over them. That's how it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's for their own good, goddammit.
Well, and I'm liable for their actions.
Well, exactly.
Their
That
actions
too.
can put me at legal risk or at risk of confrontation with other people if we're talking about a world without litigation and things like that, or without government versions of litigation. Their actions still put me at risk. Everybody knows parents are responsible for their own goddamn fucking kids, and I don't care how much certain anarchists want to mentally masturbate over this fucking topic.
With the stupid ass bullshit, Thomas Sowell, or not Thomas Sowell, the other guy, Williams with evictivism, right? That the whole pro-abortion evictimism or evictivism, evictionism. Yeah.
Walter Williams.
Come on now, Walter Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
pro-abortion stance.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck how much they want to mentally masturbate over that. The fact remains that deep down, pretty much everybody in this population who isn't fucking mentally incapacitated in some way understands that parents are responsible for their fucking kids. And since we are responsible and liable for their behavior, we have power over them under natural fucking law. If you can put me at risk, I get to say what you can and can't do. It's that fucking easy.
they're not mentally developed enough to make that fucking decision on their own.
No, they're not, and that's exactly why they have parents. That's why they're born to grown adults.
Yep.
Like that's the fucking idea.
Yeah, let's circle this back to the article about the park and voluntarism and how.
She got serious for a minute.
Sorry, I went on a tangent about seceding to the individual.
Believe me, we can go on that all day long. I am 100% behind you on that one.
I know.
But how the Rotary Club cleaning up the park is an act of voluntarism and all that stuff, but it's also a community beneficial action.
Mm-hmm.
The park was run down. There were beer cans everywhere. There were condom wrappers. There were drugs and all sorts of activities that were taking place at this park.
And McMinnville's had a lot of problems with that kind of thing lately because of policies, because of laws, because of city ordinances where people aren't allowed to throw homeless people off their fucking property. Like all the mentally ill or drug users or whatever, McMinnville has a real homelessness problem now. My beautiful tiny little hometown has like all these people that are bussing in that are very fucking disturbed, just living on the streets and fucking with people who are walking and, screwing up the parks and things like that. Because the city council, and I'm not going to name names, but I know who it fucking was on the city council. I went to school with her. She's a bleeding heart fucking liberal. And, and she's
they got to fuck up everything, don't they?
Yeah, she's bullied the city council into fucking bullying the rest of the citizenry into creating basically a safe haven for,
like San Francisco and Seattle do.
Yeah, exactly.
Portland also.
Yep, exactly. So that's where this problem came. Like Airport Park never used to get that bad because we, the people who always lived in that town, we treasured it and took care of it. You know what I mean? But now all the funding is being siphoned away into all these other programs, which we won't even get into the anarchist aspects of that. But let's just talk within their status paradigm. So the funding's been funneled away, and they're bringing in a bunch of disrespectful, fucking, filthy-ass people who just destroy everything they touch.
Who are not from that community.
Exactly, who are not from that community. So what do you think is going to fucking happen? But my dad is
they
my
have
dad,
no ties to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And my dad is my dad. He doesn't go begging for government handouts. He never has and he never will. And he saw a problem. And he knows a bunch of good people that he's in this club with that like to do things for the community just because that's specifically why they're in this club, because they like to do things for the community. So he got them all organized and together, and they all went out there, and they physically fixed the damn park. Like, they went out there and spent their own time. It's not like they did a fundraiser. They were out there, resurfacing things, and they raised a little bit of money for some of the materials, but that was it. They did the work. That is
that's
voluntarism.
A feel-good story for fucking anarchy among friends.
Yay!
Yeah, not only that, not only is it voluntarism is an action, but
it is awesome.
One of the best things that you can do for freedom, one of the best things that you can do for creating a positive environment for your children to grow up in, for your neighbors to live in, for all that, is to have a strong community.
Yes.
Right. We've talked about it before with militias and enhanced neighborhood watch and mutual assistance groups and things like that. When you have a strong community and you have people that care about each other, when you have neighbors that get along and wave and say hi and invite each other over for holiday dinners and kids' birthday parties and whatnot.
And you have teenagers that loved that park when they were kids. They're not going to fucking deface it. You know what I mean?
Well, not only they're going to deface it, but they take a sense of responsibility for it.
Right.
Right. And they protect it and they cherish it and they take care of it and they take their kids there and their younger siblings there, and it creates that sense of responsibility in them too, right? And it becomes something that's cherished by the community.
Right.
And when it's something like that, and you keep it nice and you keep it positive, the negative influences don't feel welcome there. They don't feel comfortable there.
Right. And let me tell you guys real quick what else my dad is trying to do about this homelessness problem. He has industrial property along what's called Riverside Drive in McMinnville. It's real close to his storage units. And he wants to build a tiny homes community on it, a transitional community for these homeless people. And then he wants to do low-income housing right next to that. So it'll be a two-step program for these people to help them build themselves back up into productive members of society. He's not asking the government to subsidize it. He's not asking them to give him any fucking money. He's not asking them to build a new road for it. Nothing. Yep. All he's asking them to do is to stop telling him no.
Yep.
That's it. That's all he's asking.
Yep. And so we have the we have the same issue here in my area in the Bay Area. There's a guy in San Francisco that owns a property, and it has like a small shopping center and like a cheap ass hotel on it right now or something like that. It's a good sized property, but there's not a whole lot on it. And he wants to build low income housing. He wants to build a high rise low income housing project. The city won't let him because the neighbors around him are complaining that his high rise would mess up their view of the bay. But
you know what the problem is with
they also complain about homelessness and all that other stuff.
The problem with my dad's project is that it's industrial property. It's zoned like industrial and commercial.
The government says it's your property. It's your property, but you can only do X, Y, and Z on it.
Right. And what they're concerned about is that the noise from the concrete plant that's like, I don't know, 600 feet away or something like that, or 600 yards away, is going to disturb the residents in the early mornings. They're fucking homeless. They have nowhere else to live right now. No, you think that that's not still a step up for them? Like this zoning ordinance was put in place to protect prior property owners from their property value being devalued when all this land got rezoned industrial back in the 80s. But now they're using it to tell my dad he can't put new residences there that are not, it's not home owners, it's tenants and renters, and they're not going to be there forever.
Yeah.
And the government's still telling him, the government of that town is still telling him no. Because of that.
Yep.
Yeah. Isn't that retarded?
Without government, who would help the homeless?
I know.
And what would he do? What would they do if he did it without their permission? They'd arrest him, right?
Well, they would probably order him to remove it, or just not let him.
Oh, they would take him to
put any tenants in there or whatever.
They would take him to court. And they would
some kind of injunction and
some kind of injunction and whatnot, and then if he resisted after that point in time, they would press charges on him.
Right.
And then
so ridiculous.
It would just go.
Yes. I know.
I'm sorry. You help the homeless in a way you help the homeless in a way that we do not approve of.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're a bad person and you need to go to jail.
It's. I mean, a lot of what my dad wants to do is altruistic, but there is something in it for him because currently these people are squatting on his land already and they're trashing it.
Yeah.
And there's fucking used needles everywhere and it's just a fucking dump. Yep. And they're scaring his customers that come to the storage units. And so he's like, let me do something better here. Let me give them a better solution. Let me give them an opportunity to improve their situation. And, and maybe we can solve some of these or mitigate some of these problems they're experiencing and therefore that I'm experiencing as well.
But he can't do that because the government is not in the business of solving problems.
Yeah. Right. Well, not only that, but isn't like self-interest like one of the things that drive like pretty much everything?
Yeah, but fucking
You know
bleeding
what I
heart
mean? Like,
liberals, bleeding heart liberals can't stand for anybody who's helping others to make even one fucking cent of profit off it. And the low income housing, he would have made some profit off of.
What if he makes fucking
hilarious?
Which is helping people in the process.
I know.
Which is hilarious,
like,
because
fuck, dude.
liberals and socialists especially, and even some conservatives, they bitch all the time about all these empty houses outnumbering the people that are actually homeless.
Yeah.
Right.
And then here's your dad trying to create homes for the homeless, and the city says, no, you can't do that.
And it's not that
so
my dad
crazy.
is some fucking, it's not that he's some noob that's going to create like unsafe housing. He was a fucking building contractor when I was a kid. He built houses. The first house that we lived in when I was a kid, my dad built that.
He named the freaking road after you.
He did. He named a cul-de-sac after me because he built all the houses on it. Like, it's not like he's some idiot that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. You know? And the government just won't fucking let him do it. They won't re-examine their zoning laws for that area right now. And I know all of this because I helped him write up his affidavit for
because there's no way for the government to expand its power or to expand its tax income by helping him.
Yeah. I know. I know.
Which is fucking stupid.
Well, no, that's not true.
Can you imagine
that's
how
not true because if they become productive members of society, those people will start paying taxes too. So it's like,
I know.
Eventually, yeah, but
can you imagine
the government does not profit from independent people.
Yeah,
that's true.
Can you imagine though? My dad has been a pillar of that town his entire life, just like his dad was. My grandfather's business is still in that town. My grandfather invented that stuff, that the rubber running track that looks like chewed up tires pressed back together. My grandfather invented that, and the factory that was originally pumping that stuff out is in my hometown. So my family's been pillars of that community for decades and even up like a century almost. And my dad is being blocked trying to do this thing for the community by a chick that I went to school with. And her dad was a fucking lawyer, a liberal one too. And, you know, like, can you imagine how he feels that this fucking kid I went
betrayed?
To school with, yeah.
Betrayed's a good word, yeah.
Yeah, or just like aggravated that this
seriously,
this 30-something little fucking snooty liberal that thinks she's so smart is blocking him from doing something for his community.
You know what we should do? We should start up the bus. We should all move to McMinnville and rule it with an iron fist.
Yes, run for city council with an iron fist. Hell yeah.
Now, isn't that close to the place where you said they filmed the Goonies?
Yeah, well, the Goonies was filmed in Astoria.
Astoria, which is
it's up
between Portland and the Pacific Ocean.
Okay. Well, Astoria is on the Pacific Ocean. It's like at the very tip top of, you know how Oregon has that little like goes like this.
Yeah, the northwest corner of Oregon.
But McMinnville is right between Portland and the coast, right in the northern end of the Willamette Valley. So that's where I grew up. Yeah.
No shit. It's probably beautiful there, right?
It's gorgeous.
Oh, dude, the coastal area of like from like Humboldt County all the way up to the Canadian Canadian border, like that first 100 miles of inland. Oh, dude, it's just it's so beautiful.
Have you ever seen that movie, The Hunted, the one with Tommy Lee Jones and
Benicio del Toro?
That's all in the Oregon forest. It's filmed exclusively in the Oregon forests, and it'll show you what the forests there look like. They're actually technically they're rainforests. They're not tropical.
Temperate rainforest.
Yeah, temperate rainforest. It's beautiful, like gorgeous.
Trees with diameters, diameters greater than you are tall, and 280 foot Douglas firs that have been standing for freaking 1,200 years, and
right. Douglas firs are so beautiful, and just like dripping moss on everything. And the only real bugs or anything gross out there you got to worry about is banana slugs. They're all over.
Which I had a bad experience.
Oh
no. Banana slugs, you know, all animals have some sort of prey or some sort of predatory repellent.
Right.
Banana slugs have a numbing agent.
Right.
And where I was living in Northern California, up on the coast, the mouth of the Klamath River, we had to go up this hill to the cafeteria to eat, and there was a wooden railing going up, and the rocks, the rocks were like redwood boards, and then the gravel walkway, and it was kind of slippery sometimes, and I would use the walk to go up, and I got some stuff on my hand, and I my hand was all sticky, and I licked my hand, like you'd sometimes do.
Ew.
And my face went numb for like 2 hours. I couldn't taste my breakfast at all.
Dude.
Freaking like an hour into work, like after eating and packing my lunch and getting dressed and whatnot, like we're standing in line, to get into the trucks to go to work, and the collar of my shirt's already turning dark from the drool dripping out my mouth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fucking fantastic.
Big. Like I've seen them, like no joke. I've seen banana slugs.
Like I've seen them like 8 or 10 inches long, and like 3 inches in diameter, like a big freaking yellow dildo.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
And they look like super ripe bananas. They're like speckled with brown.
And they're asexual. They're asexual too.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, anyways, that's but that it's it's the kind of environment for them. It's wet and it's mossy and it's like cool.
Think like you remember the cartoon movie Fern Gully?
Yeah.
You remember the environment where the little fairies lived and the ferns and the mossy trees and all that good stuff. Yeah, imagine that Oregon. Like physically in person.
Right. That's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's Oregon from the Cascades west. From the Cascades east, it's desert, tumbleweeds, fucking desert.
High desert too. So high desert too. So you get like ponderosa pine and scrub pine, but then you also get snow.
And it gets super fucking cold at night. Yeah, really cold at night out in the desert.
But then it'll only get like less than 10 inches of precipitation a year.
Right. Yeah. Legit tumbleweeds.
That's so crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump onto this. Let's jump onto this last article. This was sent to me by Andrew, who is not here tonight, and this is Marco Island in Wisconsin. This is near where he is. A 75-year-old man was arrested for pulling weeds out of a lake in Marco Island.
But without government, who would pull the weeds?
Yeah, the quote hashtag not from the onion. Jesus. A 75-year-old man was arrested for pulling weeds out of a lake in Marco Island. Mackle Park in Marco Island is used for many things, including remote control boating. But the sailing club was running into issues with weeds. Reports say club member Rocky Kale asked the city to remove them. The city said the weeds get sprayed by a contractor. Cole said, quote, "We haven't been able to sail for about 3 weeks because the weeds are so thick. We never had a weed problem before this year." So Cole took matters into his own hands. He admitted to going out with 3 others and raking out bundles of weeds, placing them in a large pile next to the lake. The city removed the 7 tractor loads worth of smelling weeds. Quote, "We didn't think we'd do anything. We didn't think we were doing anything illegal," Cole said. Marco Island called the FWC for guidance.
Yeah, FWC who would think that's illegal? Like the government says, "Oh, we normally take care of that, but we're not." And somebody says, "Well, I'll do it. Don't worry about it." Who would think that's fucking illegal?
Wait, just hold on. Just FWC investigated, and state's attorney's office decided to file charges.
Oh my god!
Wait, hold on. Kale was arrested on a warrant for careless violation of aquatic weed law. Tell me when that makes sense.
How much time you got?
Yeah. Kale was arrested on a warrant for careless violation of aquatic weed law. Quote, I was like flabbergasted, Kale said. Kale bonded out the same day he was booked into jail and said it was all mishandled. Quote, I had to pay $1,000 and I got a record. I mean, it's ridiculous.
What? And I'm sorry, the careless violation. Okay.
Wait, hold on.
It has now been ruled that ignorance is a fucking legitimate defense.
Marco Island said although multiple people were seen on video surveillance removing the weeds, only Kale was held responsible because he came and told the city staff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's retarded.
Retarded is an understatement.
Yeah.
He was arrested and booked into jail and had to bond out of jail for, quote, careless violation of aquatic weed law.
Only
we're not talking like happy weed.
Right.
We're talking like weeds
like
growing in the freaking lake.
Like duckweed, the shit that fucking binds up your outboard.
Your propellers and shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. $1,000 and it has a record because he pulled weeds out of a lake.
You know what though? That's a record I'd be happy to fucking flaunt and tell people about. Because that's some fucking shit.
That's a fucking record that I'm getting a T-shirt made and wearing around.
Yes.
Ask me about my arrest record for pulling weeds.
Yeah.
it would say like Kale violated duckweed or some shit on the front of it.
Ask me why I got arrested for cleaning the lake.
Yep. 75-year-old man was a CALE. 75-year-old man was arrested for pulling weeds out of a lake.
Oh my god!
How after that can you even entertain the idea that we live in the land of the free?
No idea, really. Only government can create and exacerbate a situation to be this fucking stupid. Only government can reach this level of stupid.
Well, dude, you know they've run out of things to legislate when you fucking are dealing with an aquatic weed law. Like, what the fuck? It's like Charlie Kelly with those bird law.
Government
when you've got a committee involved.
Yeah,
government will give you a fine. Government will give you a fine. Government will give you a ticket and a fine for having weeds in your front yard.
Yeah.
They'll also give you a ticket and a fine for pulling weeds out of a lake.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
They got all bases covered.
They'll give you a ticket and a fine for not growing grass in your yard, for having a rock garden too.
Yeah, and then they'll take you to court and make you grow grass even though you're allergic to it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an article I have saved too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there is one. It's like a choose your own adventure, but only one choice results in you living your life and not being in fucking like harassed or in jail. Right? It's like you have to. It's like Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, like trying to find the Hebrew name of Jesus on those stepping stones. He steps on the wrong one and the whole floor collapses. Like that's what it's like trying to navigate this world of laws.
And this the website it's nbc2.com, right? At the bottom they have a what is your reaction, right? And they have a
how much time do you have, assholes?
205 votes, right? Reacting to the story. 205 votes, 5% happy, 10% amused, 2% excited, 77% angry, 4% sad. I guarantee you that all 77% that reacted angry are status.
Yeah.
Yeah. The very first comment: legalize weed pulling.
I know, and they don't. They're fucking missing the last step, you guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like Dan with his sexual harassment hush money. He's missing the last.
Right?
Well,
Right?
here's a good comment. The city of Marco Island does not do its job in its public park. Park is provided via taxpayer money. Law-abiding taxpayer asks them to address it so they can access lake. They don't. He and colleagues does and gets arrested and jailed by people he pays via taxes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So insane.
I guess my dad's lucky he didn't get arrested for fixing up Airport Park. Huh?
Yeah, right.
And this is again this is another one of those laws, like the civil asset forfeiture law, that would not exist in a non-militarized police society. Yeah,
free society. These laws wouldn't exist. It's retarded. It's beyond retarded.
What's your take on that one, Kevin?
He asked what your take on that one is. He has his earbuds out already.
Oh.
What's your take on that one?
Well, I think it's pretty ridiculous. But on that same vein, like if you were to try to like do the airport park thing in some place like New York, you would get arrested.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because the unions would fucking go berserk.
Yeah.
So.
Well, unions are a direct result of government. So.
Yeah,
but it's that
monopoly on labor.
But it's the same thing if you were trying to pull weeds out of a lake in New York, you'd probably get arrested too.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
New York is fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Bunch of cocksuckers that run this place.
You are. Whether you are a community hero or a criminal depends on which patch of dirt you're standing on. Land of the free. My fucking ass.
Well, that reminds me.
Which tiny tax farm within the larger tax farm?
Right.
When we used to live in an HOA, our old neighbors across the street from us.
Shivers.
He bush hogged part of his yard.
Yeah.
And part of his yard
bordered on the lake.
Bordered a lake. And somebody, another person in the HOA had fucking complained. And the HOA didn't come out and investigate. They didn't call or come out and check or nothing. Because somebody complained, they immediately sent a threatening letter to our neighbor saying that you will fucking restore the area that you bush hogged to the way it was before, or you're going to be fined. Like, what was it? Like so many thousands of dollars a day until it's restored.
Yeah. Until it's restored to what? 3 foot tall fucking weeds? Give me a summer. Easy. Jesus.
But in that case, the person who told on him was actually wrong because he had actually looked up the fucking law and followed everything specifically to
the bylaws of the HOA. But so not only was the reporter wrong, but the HOA was wrong as well for sending the nasty Graham letter.
That's like a mini tyranny.
It is. Really is.
HOAs are ridiculous.
Yeah. But there's so many of them here. There's almost no homes in like entry level like budget ranges that are not in fucking HOAs. Not new ones anyways, or any built in the last 10 years. You have to get something old and decrepit if you want, something less expensive. It's like a starter home. And so it's
and then you fall into historic home registries and
or money pit situations,
blight community laws, and it's just
So we're so happy to be out of the HOA. We really are.
I bet, man.
With your porch with your support post running the wrong way, and
oh my god.
4 or 5 months after we moved into here, the Historical Society put that fucking sign on our property.
Yeah, about John Wilkes Booth running across our property after he shot Lincoln.
Nice.
So
yeah, we have this old farm road, and you could that runs through our property.
you can see where it was.
You could actually go to Google Maps, and if you drill down on it on our property, you could see the old farm road. It's all filled in with grass, but it's still kind of.
It's like there's like a depression in the yard where this road used
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what you guys.
That's where John Wilkes
That's the road.
fucking hobbled through.
Yeah. It goes right past. It's like this far from the corner of our new fence, because that's the furthest we could take the fence, because the depression in the yard goes diagonal right there. So.
You should have the kids run it on the anniversary of it every year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit! All the way over to the old Claydale farmhouse, which is still.
That's
standing.
what got me my first suspension on fucking Twitter. Was my John Wilkes Booth comment.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
Because the dude said he was running for fucking socialist write-in fucking candidate for president. I said, if you ever became president, I'd be your John Wilkes Booth big guy.
Oh my god.
And he reported me for it.
That would get you banned on Twitter. It's a threat.
Yeah, but that was a nice insinuation on my part. I didn't say outright what I was going to do.
Yeah, I know.
I lost a Facebook page because I told a status I hope they get raped in a FEMA camp.
That's way worse than what I said. I think.
That was back.
That's pretty blatant. I was at least subtle about it.
I got banned on Facebook for calling an abusive asshole a faggot.
Well, that word always I used to throw that around quite a bit, and like as a term of endearment to my buddies.
I know, but we have to do it weird now. Like we have to do like F@990T, otherwise the fucking algorithm will zuck us. So. Yeah, you gotta hide it from the algorithm. Yeah, it's retarded.
I can't hide shit from anything because I'm fucking banned. So
you're on their list, dude. You're on everybody's list.
I know.
He is the list.
I said before, I said it was like a week probably like 2 or 3 weeks before I got banned from Twitter, and I was like, if my platform ever gets big enough, I was like, they're either gonna shut me down, they're gonna character assassinate me, or they're gonna fucking kill me. I was like, if the first two don't work, I was like, because I don't think they like what I say.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. So, all right, well, what time is it?
If I had like a Chinese sesame score, it'd probably be like the lowest you could ever get. You know what I mean? Like the social score that they have for everybody?
Yeah, right. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a fucking credit score for how well you behave.
It's crazy shit, man. This shit is out of hand.
Coming to America soon.
Yeah.
Well, all right, let's close out, you guys.
Sure.
I got a quote.
Oh,
all right, what's a quote?
Let me find it really quick.
Be the change you want to see in this world. By
we
John
haven't done
Wilkes
the quote in a while, have we?
It says, it may be that human race is not ready for freedom. The air of liberty may be too rarefied for us to breathe. The paradox seems to be, as Socrates demonstrated long ago, that the truly free individual is free only to the extent of one's self-mastery, while those who will not govern themselves are condemned to find masters to govern over them.
Yeah.
And that was Stephen Pressfield.
That's good, because you know what? Somebody is going to control you. It can be you or it can be somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't control yourself, it's going to be somebody else.
No. I got one too. I heard it the other night in a movie, and I had to look it up and I had to meme it. But if you assume that there is no hope, you guarantee that there will be no hope. If you assume that there is an instinct for freedom, that there are opportunities to change things, and there is the possibility that you can contribute to making a better world.
Fucking A.
Yep, that's your buddy Noam Chomsky.
Oh.
Yeah, it shocked me too.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Hey. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Unless it's the government. So on that note, check you guys. See you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.
It'll be episode 43. 43. God.
Jeez.
We're getting there. All right, you guys. Peace.
Bye.
No step on snake.